Welcome to Ariel Helwani's MMA Show.
Back in your life on this Monday, January 13th, 2020. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ariel Helwani. It is so great to be here with you on this Monday afternoon in Bristol, Connecticut. What a way to start what should be a really fun week, a really memorable and fun week. I feel it. It's been a while since I felt something like this before, and of course, these kinds of feelings come along with a Conor McGregor fight, and so here we are, 5 days away from the return of Conor McGregor, arguably the most famous fighter in the history of the sport of mixed martial arts. I don't know who would argue against that, but nevertheless, sure, you can argue against it if you want. The biggest draw, the face of the UFC, still his first fight since October of 2018. It's UFC 246. It goes down this Saturday, Las Vegas, T-Mobile Arena. You see the lineup, the main card right over there. Conor McGregor, Donald Cerrone, main event, welterweight fight, 5 rounds. We are 5 days away from that fight. And you know, I've been thinking why this one feels so exciting, why it feels special, because I know some of the narrative has been, hey, it's kind of flying under the radar, and hey, it doesn't feel big. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of buzz. I would argue the opposite way. I would say it feels bigger because we've had a break. And this almost feels like our version, the MMA version of opening day. The last UFC event was December 21st in the middle of the night in South Korea. The last pay-per-view was December 14th. So it feels like it's almost been a month between events. And that has given us a lot of time, I think, to talk about this fight, to talk about the return, the stakes, the story leading up to this point. And it feels big to me. And maybe it's because I just came back from Las Vegas. I flew to Las Vegas late Thursday night, sat down with Conor on Friday afternoon, and then flew home that night. And maybe because I was there, I was around his team, I spoke to his coaches, and it started to feel nostalgic. It started to feel like the old days, and they were saying a lot to me about Conor. And I'll share my thoughts on Conor McGregor, and that interview is going to air on today's show in its entirety. It was around 47 minutes. It will air later on. I'll give you the lineup in a second. But the main thing that I'll say right off the top is, as I was waiting for him, and even in the lead up to me going out there and sitting with him, and I really do appreciate him giving us the time. He's not talking to a lot of people, and it certainly is, it certainly is something that we appreciate that he would give us that time, and especially that much time. But the main thing that I kept hearing was, oh, he's happier than he's ever been. Oh, he's in a great spot mentally, physically. This is the old Conor. This is better than the old Conor, all that stuff. And to be honest, I rolled my eyes and I said, I've heard this before. And I said, this is a cliche that we hear in the fight game and in sports all the time. Best camp ever, all that stuff. But then I sat down with Conor McGregor, and I would say that this is a completely different person than the one that we've seen the last couple of years. Completely different. And we talked about a lot. We touched on a lot. He owned up to a lot. He was very open, I thought. He was very forthright. It was different than the guy that I spoke to in August, in my opinion. And so I'm very curious to hear what you all think. I know you had a lot of thoughts on the August interview. I'm curious to hear what you think about this particular interview. It was just 2 days ago. And I know a lot of you saw the teaser clip that we posted, and a lot of you are saying that he sounds happier and he sounds more calm and maybe a little more humble, rejuvenated. I can't wait to hear the thoughts afterwards, because I left with a lot of thoughts, and I left believing what they were telling me going into the interview, which is he is rejuvenated, he is refocused, he is doing all the right things. A lot was touched on, a lot was revealed, so I am looking forward to sharing that with all of you. This sort of Zen-like Conor, and to be honest, I've been in this spot before, right? I've it reminded me a little bit leading into it of my situation with John Jones back in 2015 when I went to Albuquerque after the hit and run accident. And I was talking to a guy who was telling me that he was going to change, and he was telling me that he was different and that he has a new lease on life and all this stuff. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to hear some of the stuff that I heard with John, because there's a lot of parallels there with the trouble that he was getting into. And with John, I felt the entire time that he was nervous, that he was unsure of himself. I felt that he was kind of feeling like, I don't 100% believe what I'm saying in this moment. And of course, we know what happened afterwards. He got in more trouble later on. Didn't get that sense this time around. And we never know what's going to happen. It's impossible to predict, but didn't get that sense this time around. So that's going to air later on today's show. Of course, this is a special fight because there is no belt on the line. And it's the first time since the Dennis Siver fight in 2015 where Conor's not a champion or there's no belt on the line. Because even when he fought Nate Diaz twice, those weren't title fights, but he was still a champion, right? He was still a champion in those fights. In this particular case, no belt, no champion, but it still feels like a big deal because of the comeback, because of the stakes, because of everything that's attached to this fight. And so here we are for the first time since UFC 183, two fighters going into a fight off losing streaks, off losses, two fighters going into a fight, main eventing a pay-per-view. First time since Anderson Silva and Nick Diaz did it at UFC 183. That's special in its own right. And the first time since he fought Diego Brandao that he's fighting a fighter coming off a loss as well. That's a key thing that no one's talking about, right? The mental part of coming off a loss and then fighting on a stage like Conor McGregor. And let's be honest, a lot of you say that about Cerrone, and he has said that about himself. Mentally, sometimes he falters in those situations. He crumbles in those situations. How's his confidence going into this fight? And I know and I'm about to tell you the lineup here. I know a lot of you have said over the last day, where's Cerrone on the show? Where's his team on the show? I just want to make this very clear. I have asked Donald Cerrone multiple times to come on this show, not just today, but leading up to the fight, and his team as well. Unfortunately, he declined. And as a result of him declining, his team declined as well. But trust me when I say I tried to get him and his team on multiple occasions to come on today's show. Hey, you got to play with the cards that you are dealt. And so we will play with these cards. And we've got a great show lined up for all of you today. All things UFC 246 discussed. Now, this is our coverage schedule for this week. I'm going to Las Vegas on Tuesday tomorrow. And look at all this stuff. We've got Ariel and the Bad Guy live from Sin City on Wednesday on ESPN+. We've got my radio show, special edition of this show on the radio, national, ESPN Radio National, midnight Eastern. So that's going to be after the press conference, which is at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be a lot of fun. We've got the weigh-in show on ESPN Plus at noon Eastern, UFC Live, 246 pre-show. We've got, in addition to all that, all of our coverage that's going down as far as Media Day. Masvidal's doing a press conference, I'm told, on Thursday as well. There's a ton there. There's a special edition of UFC Live on ABC. Yes, I said ABC. ABC, not ESPN, not ESPN Plus. EABC, going into a basketball game, which is incredible. My show at 4 Eastern. Radio show, 3 hours on the radio leading up to the card. So there's a lot there. Let me tell you about today's lineup because it's a special and I'm very excited about today's show. And then we will get rocking and rolling. So in about 2 hours and 35 minutes, 3:35, we're back to our tradition with Coach John Kavanagh of SBG. Remember, prior to the Khabib fight, he didn't come on, and we know what happened there. He wanted to keep things, tight and in camp. Didn't come on the show. We saw what happened. Now we're going back to the old ways, coming on the Monday before. I'm looking forward to having John Kavanagh on the show to tell us about the camp and everything leading up to this fight. Roxanne Modafferi has a big fight coming up against Macy Barber on Saturday at UFC 246. I saw her at the PI on Friday, and I thought, you know what? It would be nice to have Roxanne on. As you know, friend of the program. We got our Happy Warrior fan right over here. We've got her book, How to Be Positive, right over here. So we'll talk to Roxanne Modafferi at 3:20. We'll talk to Owen Roddy, striking coach for Conor McGregor. I'm looking forward to that as I knock over Roxanne's fan. I always do that. We'll get his perspective, and he's also launched a new amateur program here in the United States. I'm looking forward to talking to him about that. At around 2:55, we'll have a lot of celebrities making their prediction for the fight. 15 celebrities weigh in. Stay tuned for that. Surprise celebrities. I asked a bunch of them to weigh in. That's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of familiar faces. At 2 o'clock, my interview with Conor McGregor will air in its entirety. The sit-down from Friday, where we talked about all those things leading up to this fight on Saturday. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to you all seeing that. 145, Anthony Pettis will join us. He has a big fight on Saturday as well against Carlos Diego Ferreira. Big fight for him. Coming back to 155, Ferreira with a 5-fight winning streak. He is the fighter on this card with the longest winning streak. So a big spot for him and an opportunity for Anthony Pettis to get back on track. Eddie Alvarez will join us at 130. He is just one of 3 fighters to have fought both Cerrone and McGregor. The other 2, of course, Nathan Diaz and Dennis Siver. And so we'll get his thoughts on the fight and also get his thoughts on how he's feeling. Remember, he was part of the One Championship lightweight tournament, had to pull out due to the ankle injury. So we'll get his thoughts on his health as well. And he also celebrated his birthday yesterday. So a big couple days for Eddie Alvarez. First his birthday, then appearing on this program. And, of course, at 110, we're going to be joined in a matter of moments by the great Dominick Cruz, who is one of the most brilliant minds in the game. Of course, co-host of Unlocking Victory with Gilbert Melendez, which airs on all the different ESPN platforms. Wanted to get his take on this fight and how he's feeling as well, everything going on in the bantamweight division with Henry Cejudo and all that stuff. And, by the way, before we get to Dom, let me know when he's ready. You didn't tell me that. All right, let me just say I appreciate everyone who watched the award show, and I appreciate all the comments and everyone weighing in. It was a lot of fun to hear everyone's take on the award show last week. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's move along now and say hello to the great Dominick Cruz, who is kind enough to join us from his car. There he is. Dominic, how are you? I do not hear Dominic. We'll reconnect with him here or try to fix that. Dominic, you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you do. Okay, maybe he doesn't even hear me. All right, we'll reconnect with Dominic in a matter of moments. Of course, one of the most brilliant minds in the sport, and actually had a chance to talk to Conor himself. He posted a picture on his Instagram. I think it was last Sunday that they had a chance, either Saturday or Sunday. They were both at the PI. And they had a chance to talk to each other, so I'm curious about that exchange. But we haven't seen Dominic in action since December of 2016. There's the photo right over there. And by the way, the one thing that struck me in this photo, look how big Conor's left hand is. I mean, that thing is gigantic. Is it just the angle, or is it really that big? I mean, I know obviously the left hand is his famous hand and the famous punch and all, but holy smokes, that thing looks like bigger than Dom's head. Look at that thing. It's unbelievable. He's got the big beard, the long hair going into this fight. So I'm curious about that exchange. But like I said, December 2016, we actually recently on the ESPN MMA Twitter and Instagram page recently posted a TBT of the last time we saw Dominic in a post-fight press conference setting, that great scene after his fight against Cody Garbrandt. He was standing up the whole time. And that got a ton of love, like 1 million views on that clip. Him standing up. I think a lot of people just hadn't seen it or just loved seeing it again. Him standing up and just taking the defeat in stride and just having such a great perspective when it came to that particular fight. And we'd love to see him back. I saw on his Instagram earlier today that he appears to be in great spirits. He was getting some PT done, it seemed like, on his shoulder. I think it was either his shoulder or his arm. So hopefully in 2020, which we are in now, we'll get a chance to see him back in action, and things are wide open at 135, of course. We don't know who Henry Cejudo is going to fight next. He is pushing for the Aldo fight. Henry, by the way, finding love, announcing on Instagram over the weekend. So mazel tov to him and his lucky partner. But we don't know when he's going to return. We also don't know who he's going to fight. That's still all very much up in the air. He's talking about Aldo. We have been not so into that fight personally. Guy coming off a loss. I don't know how he should be fighting for a belt. 0-1 in a division. Where does Cruz fit into all that? I know Corey Sandhagen trying to get a fight against him. He's not fighting on the January 25th card in Raleigh, North Carolina. So there is a lot to discuss with Mr. Dominick Cruz. By the way, going back to the Conor fight here for a second as we try to connect with him, it's interesting because I do believe, as I mentioned at the top, a lot isn't being made of the fact that Cerrone is going into this fight on a 2-fight losing streak. Usually when you go into a Conor fight historically, like I said, the last time someone went into a Conor McGregor fight on a loss was Diego Brandao. Usually you're going into a Conor fight on a winning streak, right? You're Floyd Mayweather, of course. You're Nate Diaz coming off a win. You're Khabib Nurmagomedov coming off a long streak. You're Eddie Alvarez coming off winning the belt. You're Jose Aldo on a long streak. You're typically rolling, right? You're typically on a high. Your confidence is on a high as well. And you're not coming off 2 losses in which you have been stopped. It doesn't matter if you're fighting on the prelims. If you're a fighter coming off of 2 losses in which you have been stopped, I would imagine your confidence is a little bit lower than if you're on a winning streak. So that's a really interesting aspect in this fight as well. Of course, Conor's coming off a loss as well, and he hasn't fought in a while, but I think that's a really interesting aspect that people aren't talking about. All right, let's see if we can connect with Dominic here. He's joining us now via the phone. Dominic, are you there? Dominic, do you hear me? Dominick Cruz, are you there? All right. I don't think he hears me. Going to make a guess that he doesn't hear me. We'll connect. We shall. We shall make this happen. Okay. Seems like he's maybe using his Bluetooth. We'll get it done. We'll make it happen. So anyway, that I find to be a really interesting thing. Of course, wondering how Conor's going to react to being back, everything that's happened, pressure on him as well to gain fans back. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter the opponent, in my opinion. Like I said, him versus a broomstick. We can argue about should it have been this guy, should it have been Gaethje, should it have been a guy on a winning streak, should it have been a top contender. For the casual fan, for the Joe sports fan out there, for the mainstream sports fan, all they needed was a win, in my opinion. I think that a lot of fans are trepidatious. I think a lot of fans are taking a bit of a, I'll wait and see how this all pans out. Is he really back? I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, is he really back? Is he going to take this seriously? Is he really going to stay on the straight and narrow, all this stuff? And I think a lot of fans are, not wanting to buy in fully, and that's okay. But I think one big victory, I think one great session on the microphone after, and it might even, honestly, it might even happen leading up to Saturday with the press conference on Wednesday, at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. Might even happen then. I think after that, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he actually throws us for a loop. Remember, before the Chad Mendes fight, a lot of people thought that he would come out very strong, very aggressive, that he would come out, throwing insults and things like that. Didn't do that. He was very calm going into that fight, supremely calm. And I think he'll come out, this is my guess, I don't think anyone knows, I don't even think he knows, I think he'll come out supremely calm in this one. If my conversation with him on Friday is any indication, I think he'll come out very calm on Wednesday as well. I don't think you'll see the same kind of fireworks and vitriol and animosity that we saw in the Khabib fight, and I think that turned off a lot of people as well. In fact, I was looking back at his debut. We do a thing on our linear TV show, which airs on Tuesday nights on either ESPN2 or ESPN News, and I was looking back at the debut against Marcus Brimage, April 6th of 2013 in Stockholm, Sweden. He was the fourth fight on that card on the Facebook prelims, amazingly. Came out, beat him, one-sided win, 67 seconds, like I said, gets the 60 Gs. And then I watched the post-fight press conference, and it's fascinating because in the post-fight press conference, he says something that is actually something that he has been saying leading up to this fight, and it was great foreshadowing to what was to come in his life. No one could have guessed that he would have turned into what he ultimately became, but he actually gave us a clue as to who he is and what he's all about and what could happen if he does get riches and fame and all this stuff and maybe starts to drift. Do we have that? Do we have that sound? I wanted to share that with you because I thought that was fascinating insight into who he is. And even though he's changed so much, he's really just the same guy. He was telling us that this was going to happen. This is 7 years ago, April of 2013, post-fight press conference, Stockholm, Sweden. Take a listen to what Conor said after that fight.
Yeah, I felt the same, you know what I mean? Even walking in, you know the way people say like about UFC jitters and all, I didn't feel, it just felt like another contest to me, and competition is competition, doesn't matter if it's in a local club or here, you know what I mean? It just felt the same. And to be honest, I don't know what's going on here. I'm just up to hearing $60,000 and I'm just thinking of what I'm going to spend on it, you know what I mean? I'm going to buy myself a car anyway, a nice car, and maybe some suits or some custom-made suits, or I don't know. Just last week I was collecting the social welfare, you know what I mean? I'm going to have to... I was insane to them, like, I don't know what's going to happen, like, I'm signed to the UFC, I don't know what, blah, 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 but now I suppose I'm just going to tell them to off.
Conor, just one more question. Is there anyone in your eye line, anyone you want to fight next?
No, whatever, you know, I just want to be kept busy, you know, competition keeps me focused, and anytime I don't have competition ahead of me, I just seem to drift, you know what I mean? So I want to be kept busy, and that's it, just whatever, wherever and whenever, you know?
You see that? He said it right there. When he's not competing, he's drifting. When he's not competing, he's losing focus. And that's been the knock. And, of course, he went in a completely different direction, and no one could have predicted, the legal issues and the pub incident and the Miami incident. I mean, there's just everything that happened post 229. Look at all of that. But he said it right there when he had no money, when he had nothing to his name. When I'm not competing, I'm drifting. When I'm not competing, I lose focus. And it's very much the same things that he's saying now. When I wasn't competing, I was losing focus. I was drifting. I found that to be fascinating. A little turn back the clock for all of you. And another fun thing that hasn't been talked about so much leading up to this fight, Conor's brought in a new / old face to his camp. I'll tell you about that person in a moment. Let's try to connect once again with Dominick Cruz. Let's try this now. Dominic, are you there? Dominic, can you hear me? Dominic? I don't think he can hear me. Okay. We shall reconnect with Dominic. Not sure what's going on with the phone situation, but we'll effort, as they say in the business. So I was just telling you about, I'll give you the tease now. This is what happens sometimes when you do live stuff. An interesting story that's played out that I think has flown under the radar, that I think will get more attention leading up to this fight. One guy that he brought in, a familiar face, a man by the name of Phil Sutcliff, who is the owner of the Crumlin Boxing Club, the first guy to introduce him to any form of combat sports. When he was 12 years old, he went there for the first time and trained in boxing there. We've heard about Crumlin, but Phil had never been a part of any of his camps, had never been a part of his corner for any of his fights in the UFC. He will be a part of his corner in this fight. He is a part of the camp for this fight. He is in Las Vegas. He has been training with him, and he has said that he did recently a Good Friday sparring session, and at Crumlin for the locals, for the community, for the boxing club. And he had a moment, an epiphany, where he's like, I should have had these guys, my old coaches from back in the day, the people who introduced me to boxing back in the day. I should have had these people helping me out for the Mayweather fight, which makes a lot of sense. You have, boxing coaches, you're going to, have them a part of your boxing camp when you're making your pro boxing debut, people who know you. And so he has brought him back, and I think there's great symbolism in that. I think it's really fascinating. It's part of this new, old, going back to the old ways, a simpler time, a more innocent time, to bring back the people who introduced you to fighting, who maybe taught you that left hand, taught you how to compete, taught you how to fight. You bring those people on. That's a really cool story. All right, let's try to get Dominick Cruz here one more time. Dominic, please tell me you can hear me. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yay! Dominic, you're the man. Thank you. I'm sorry about that. I apologize. Let's get into it. Thank you for joining us. First off, I just saw on your Instagram you were getting some PT. How are you feeling physically?
It's great. Got to stay on range of motion, the movement. When you're building back atrophy, the muscle tight. You're going from a small muscle trying to build a big one. Everything comes up. So you just got to stay on the PT.
Do you know when you'll be able to return yet?
I know for sure I will be fighting within the next 6 months is my goal. As for an exact opponent, time, date, none of that's been established yet. I do know that I'm just building this atrophy back in my right shoulder, and I'm feeling really good. I'm on track.
You will return, though. You will fight again.
I will fight again, and this time I'm just staying focused on all I can do,
Any chance your return fight is against Henry Cejudo?
Well, there's a chance. I'm in possibility. The way I look at it is he's the champion, current, and he called me out and said he wanted to fight me. So why wouldn't the fight happen unless he plays musical chairs with his call-out, which is what he's been doing. So I'm not sure what Henry's thinking, but when the champion of the division calls you out, you step up and you take it. If the health is right, and the health is right, and the timing's right for me. So I think that's the fight that makes sense. I mean, I did lose my last fight, but it was for the title. I was the title holder. And, you know, I didn't really get my shot to jump right back in there because I got myself injured back-to-back. But my skill sets have not tarnished at all. They're still there. It's just a matter of showing up and getting into that fight with Henry. But he's got to. And right now, I don't think anybody knows what he wants. I don't think he knows what he wants, to be honest.
Yeah, that is an astute observation, perhaps. Let me ask you about this because we were just talking about it. We even showed the photo as we were trying to connect with you. You had a conversation, it seems like, with Conor McGregor at the PI last week. Nice little photo that you guys took together. Could you tell us anything about that conversation? What was it like? What did you guys talk about?
It was actually a super, clear and concise conversation. I'd never gotten the opportunity to actually sit and have a conversation with him because there's always been people, like his security guards or Dana, or he's got an interview, or he's got to go have a drink with Lorenzo, or something's always going on. So this time I walked to the PI. The PI shut down because I film Unlocking Victory after the PI shuts down, either in the morning or at night. And Conor was there closing it down. He was there doing the training, and right at the end of his training, he was sitting there, and I come in, and we just got to talk, and I got to pick his brain a little on what he's doing different, why he wants to fight at 70. I kind of explained to him how I saw his style. I said, look, I'm being you tonight in this breakdown, and this is how I see in the past you've dismantled a lot of people and some of your habits, and does this seem accurate? And he agreed with the stuff that I was showing, but he also said, I got some other tricks up my sleeve, and he showed me them as well. And, I didn't break those down on the show because, I wouldn't have known those unless I got that conversation with him as a PI. So, but I like where he was. I like what he was thinking. I like what he was showing, and I think it's going to be fun for the fans to see kind of a different set of movements for him. I mean, for me as an observer, as an analyst, I know it's a different set of movements. I'll be curious to see how it shows up on fight night for everybody else to see if they're able to make the reads and if he's able to make those adjustments that he showed me.
You're one of the most brilliant minds in the game. That's why I wanted to have you on for this particular show leading up to the fight, and you had the opportunity to talk to him a little bit, but you also did that Unlocking Victory show, which I'm really looking forward to as well. But if I could ask you, how do you break down Cerrone versus McGregor? What are the keys to victory for Cerrone and McGregor? Could you do that for us? Can you give us a little taste?
Yeah, the show itself will break all that down where you can experience the movements. But if I'm talking about it in words, Cerrone gets to stay tall, and he needs to make sure that he's throwing combinations, ending his combinations with a kick. The fight that I like to look back at Cerrone, if he shows up like this, I think he'll do really well. It's against Rick Story a long time ago. It was a while back that he fought Rick Story, and Rick Story was a big 70-pounder, and Cerrone was coming over, and he did really, really well in the fight. Now, Rick Story's stand-up is not Conor McGregor's stand-up. We all know that. However, it's a southpaw that's very powerful, and it's more the habits that Cerrone used in that fight, if you want to go back and watch, that I think would really work against a guy like Conor, and you're going to need to because it's long combinations, flowing, finishing with kicks, either high or low. He's going to want to attack the body of Conor early, and he's going to want to attack the legs of Conor early. But more than anything, I think the key for Cerrone is to come out already having a first round of fighting in the back so that when he shows up to that octagon, he's in his second round already, because Conor McGregor comes out on fire in the first round and leaves nothing almost in the tank in that first round. And Cerrone, if you look habitually, doesn't show up like that in the first. He takes a lot of damage and almost takes getting punched a little bit before he shows up second, third, fourth, fifth round. And he really usually wins those last four rounds. But that first round, rarely have I seen Cerrone come out awake. And never have I seen him come out as awake as Conor does in the first round. So I think that the big adjustment in this fight is going to be if Cerrone can come out in that first round as awake and as warm and as punch-ready as he is in that second round when he fights anybody else. And if he can make that adjustment, we'll have a very good first round. And if this fight out of the second round into 3, 4, and 5, I see it getting closer and closer, edging towards Cerrone with a good chance at getting this win. I even told that to Conor as well. And one of the things Conor said is, well, I don't really like people thinking that I can't go 5. I've gone 5 with Nate. I've shown that I can do this. And I said to him, well, look, all we have is history and what you've shown us through habit. And I asked Conor, I said, habitually, what have we seen? Well, in the later rounds, that's the only time we've ever seen him fade. So that's all we have to work with. And that's how I'm seeing this fight. Later rounds goes to Cerrone. That first round, if Cerrone doesn't come out as awake as he does in his fights in the second round, I think it's going to be a hard round to win for him.
Fascinating stuff. Can I ask you, when you say, like, to the layman fan, when they hear you say he has to start the fight almost like it's his second round, what would you do in the back? Like, would you do a full 5-round fight? Would you go as hard as possible to sweat and, like, just try to mimic what a first round might look like so that you are not as cold in that first round? Is that what you would suggest?
Well, I have no suggestions because Cerrone's got a million fights. I mean, what are you going to suggest to a guy like that, realistically? I have no suggestions. All I have is what I do myself. And I do a long warm-up. And, you know, ever since I was young, my wrestling coach always told me this. It's always stuck with me. I would go to step on the mat, and if I didn't have a full-blooded sweat going before I stepped on that wrestling mat, I wasn't even allowed to go onto the mat. He's like, no, you're not warm. You're not going. So he's got to be warm. He's got to be woke up. I don't know what that takes for Cerrone. I don't know what that takes from his camp. But if you just watch any of his fights, after the first round, when he comes out in the second round, he looks different. He looks awake. He looks like a different fighter. His punches are faster. His reactions are different. His defense is improved. Everything looks better in the second round with Cerrone. So my only thing is, if you're him and you're his camp, how do you create that second-round fighter in round 1? That's all I can ask. That's the question to be in, I think, for everybody.
Do you think Conor made a mistake by taking this fight at 170?
No, I talked to Conor, and he's very confident. And, you know, something I heard you say was the size of his hands next to my head. Yeah. That's actually a valid point. When you look at the size of his hands, when you look at the size of his feet, and you look at the size of his joints, he's got the frame that can support the weight. It's not like he's fat and out of shape at 170. He's just eating and not cutting weight. And for a guy like Conor, after talking to him, he prefers that feeling. See, a guy like me who grew up wrestling since I was, 11 years old, I've been cutting weight my whole life. So to not cut a little bit of weight almost feels eerie to me. It almost doesn't feel normal. For him, though, that's not the case. For him, it's harder to cut the weight, and it feels eerie to be drained and sucked down. So I think mentally this is a good move for him. And he's facing a Cerrone where, like I said, in the first round when Conor shows up the best, Cerrone doesn't generally. I think if we're looking at habits and what I've seen in film, Conor has a speed advantage. Cerrone probably has, the range advantage, the how far out we can keep the fight. He has the kick advantage, I believe, with his legs. But realistically, I think Conor has the boxing advantage and the speed advantage, and the power is pretty even on both sides. I think Cerrone has more power in his legs. Conor has more power in his hands. And this is a very, very good matchup to make at 170 pounds. And both these guys are just savages in the sport. So nobody loses in this fight if you're a fan.
You've been around this game for a very long time, this fight game. And I'm wondering, I know you said that you haven't had a chance in the past to talk to Conor, but when you did talk to him last weekend, did you get the sense, like people are saying, that he is just happy, calm, relaxed? It seems like he's in a really great place mentally. Did you walk away from that conversation saying this guy is like putting on a front, or this guy is truly in a really good place and is peaking at the right time going into this big fight?
My experience of Conor McGregor in that moment is somebody at peace who's really looked at all angles and is really learning to deal with the spotlight in a more mature way. I think everything that's happened to him has been a learning experience from him when I sat down and talked to him. And he's really understanding what created the mistakes and where he was at when he was creating beautiful things. And the fact that he can recognize and take responsible for where he was at when things weren't working, and the fact that he can recognize and be responsible for where he's at when things do work, I think that's a good sign for everybody who's watching this fight and everybody who's a Conor McGregor fight fan, that his mind is at least coming at ease in his life outside of the gym, from what I saw. And that was that was, I think, the question is, we always know he shows up to fight, but how is he able to contain his mind, his heart, his life, his spirit when he's outside of the octagon? That's most of us fighters. How can we contain life without fight? And to me, he looked like he was in a much more peaceful place dealing with what he needed to outside of life to make fighting more appealing and more effortless for him.
How much stock should we put into the fact that Cerrone's on a 2-fight losing streak, and not just a 2-fight losing streak, been stopped twice in his last 2 fights? Like I said earlier, usually when Conor fights someone, they're on a long winning streak. Confidence is high. Here's a guy who's coming off of 2 straight losses in the span of 6 months. Is that a tough spot for Cerrone to be in? Because don't you want to be, feeling good about yourself going to a fight of this magnitude?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with as many fights as Cerrone's had, how many times has he lost and then come back and gone on a 3-4 fight winning streak? You can't even really attach that to a guy like Cerrone, in my opinion, because one, he's so battle ready. He's fought so many times. He's got so much experience. I think really what you got to look at, if I'm looking at Cerrone over the years and how he shows up in fights, I think it comes down to his activity level. How active has he been, and how much rest has he given his body leading up to this fight? Because his last fight that I saw him lose, I don't believe that was the Cerrone that is Cerrone. I believe that's the Cerrone that got himself to fight 4 fights in a year and keeps grinding, and just takes whatever gets thrown at him because he enjoys it. But I think that a more clean-cut, strong, savvy cowboy comes out if he lessens from 4 fights a year to maybe 3, at least 3. I mean, that's a lot still. So 2 to 3, if you're fighting 5 rounds, it's a lot of fight, man. He's got to get ready for a hard, long fight in camp if you got a 5-round title fight. So it just depends on how well he took care of his body leading into this, I think. How much rest did he give himself? Did he rest at all? Nobody ever knows that with Cerrone, because it doesn't look like he ever really rests. If he's not training, he's building something. If he's not building something, he's like walking a pet bull down the street or something. Like, you never know what he's doing and if he's actually resting. So it really just comes down to rest, I believe, for Cerrone.
Final thing, are you calling this fight on Saturday?
No, I got that question a lot. I kind of pulled away from some of the calls recently because I'm getting my body in really strong shape. And, all that travel makes it... That was Phil Davis. He's awesome. Yeah, Phil's great. That's why they call him Mr. Wonderful. No, but I've been building my body stronger to get back in there and compete myself. So That's what's difficult, too, is going back and forth, Ariel. Like, all right, how much TV, how much work can I do at like a general working class citizen in this regular life of ESPN and color commentary and podcasts and all that? And how much do I need to set that aside and move into focusing on getting my body strong, training, competing, two-a-days, rehab? When you're traveling, going cross-country every single weekend, you and me both can attest that's very difficult to stay in routine on treating your body nicely. So I've been focused and staying in. I will be calling John Jones versus Dominic Reyes. So if you want to hear a detailed call, make sure you tune into that one.
Okay, so then can I get your pick real quick at the end here? If you're not calling it, give us a prediction. Who wins?
Wow, there you go. That was a nice one, Ariel. I'll give you that. If I had to break down this fight, I like Cerrone, but what you just said about him being active in the past 6 months 2 times, that's the only thing I don't like. I think that's a little busy for him, and I think Conor's able to get it done within 3.
All right. What a pleasure. Thank you, Dominic. I really appreciate it. Great to hear that you're doing better. Sorry about the stuff at the beginning. Appreciate your patience, and we look forward to talking to you again. Thanks as always.
Thank you, sir.
All right, there he is, the one and only Dominick Cruz. Such great insight. It's such a pleasure to hear him each and every time breaking these fights. And check out Unlocking Victory later this week. You can see it on a multitude of platforms. Him, Gilbert Melendez, they do a fantastic job of breaking things down from a technical standpoint. Now let's transition to our next guest, Eddie Alvarez, standing by. Let's not make him wait any longer. There he is, the birthday boy himself, Eddie Alvarez. Edward, how are you? I don't hear Eddie. Eddie, do you hear me? Oh.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. Happy birthday, my man. What'd you do yesterday?
Nothing. We have a dry January. Me and my wife never drink on January, so our birthdays are kind of just chill out, get a good dinner, get a good meal, and hang out with the kids.
Wow, okay. Well, why don't you do that on like February or something? Why do you have to do it on your birthday month?
Nah, I got to start the year off right.
All right. Fair enough. Speaking of which, how are you feeling? We talked at the beginning of the show about the injury that forced you out of the one championship tournament. How's the ankle? How's the leg? How's the health?
I'm back to 100%. We gave our clearance to one championship about a month or so ago. So I'm just waiting on the matchmakers to give me my next opponent and give me my fight date. So we're ready. We're already sparring. It's 100%.
And when you say, okay, you're ready to go, do you think, I know they just announced in April, DJ is going to fight the lightweight champion, Adriano Moraes. Possible on that card, possible beforehand. What are you targeting?
I just seen this morning about DJ fighting, so I'm hoping April. I'm hoping in April as well. So
okay.
I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. We're going to be ready regardless. I'm going to be ready to fight 3 fights this year. The idea of getting healthy again was to be able to be busy for 2020, so I want to be good and busy.
Title fight?
My mind's 100% there to take the one championship title this year. So 2020, we should be able to get that. I want to go undefeated. I want to get the world title.
Okay, I like it. Obviously, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on this particular week as well is because you're one of only 3 fighters to have fought both Donald Cerrone and Conor McGregor. The other 2, Dennis Siver and Nate Diaz. When you first heard about this matchup, what did you think? What were the thoughts that went through your mind when you thought about these? You know these guys very well.
My first thought was this fight probably should have happened a little while ago. These guys were kind of going at each other a while back. So, but what a matchup. I mean, both incredible fighters, and both guys can win. Both guys has what it takes to beat the other, just who's going to show up that night. I'm excited about it as a fan. So I get to put my fan hat on and sit back, maybe bet fights, and have some fun.
I'll ask for your pick in a second, but I'm just curious, as someone who fought them both at 155 and as a veteran student of the game, what do you think of it being at 170? Does that change the way you think about the fight?
Does what change the way I think about the fight?
The fact that this fight is happening at welterweight as opposed to lightweight.
No, it doesn't, because both are lightweights, right? And they're just choosing not to cut the 15 pounds of water. So I don't look at it like this is a welterweight fight. This is a lightweight fight, and both guys agreed not to cut the 15 pounds of water from Tuesday to Friday that we all normally cut. So to me, this isn't a real welterweight fight.
Okay. Dare I say, taking a page out of the one championship playbook, right?
Yeah, it's a hydrated lightweight fight.
Yeah.
So we get to see both fighters, the best of both fighters. The fans win, the fighters win, and the promoters win. So we won't have to worry about anybody stepping on a scale overweight.
And one of the storylines that have been discussed going into this fight is, the magnitude of a Conor fight. And historically, even Cerrone himself has openly, and, I really respect him for doing this, has talked about, sometimes mentally he hasn't been 100% there. He gets very nervous before his fights. He's even tried, his coaches have told me that before the Leon Edwards fight, he tried to, get out of the fight. He was getting too nervous before it. And sometimes he has, you could say, crumbled under the pressure. He hasn't won the WC title, even though he fought for it a couple times, never won the UFC title. You've been in there against Conor. You know what that moment is like. Do you think this will be too big for someone like that who has those tendencies, who has those traits? Will that be a factor?
I don't. I don't think it's going to be an issue of does Cerrone buckle under pressure of the audience. I don't think Cowboy Cerrone has any issue with an audience or just showing up anywhere and fighting. He's already proven that. I started looking at this fight about 2 weeks ago and who I would think would win this fight and why. So for Cowboy, for me, and when I looked at Dominick Cruz, I thought that what I had to say had some value. But it, as from a fighter standpoint, but Dominic stole the words right out of my mouth. This fight for Cerrone is won or lost in the locker room before he comes out. He needs to be hot. He needs to do a full sparring round before he comes out. He needs to come out as a second round because the second round and third round Cowboy Cerrone that we all know, who is keeping distance, letting his kicks go, his knees go, and combinations with his punches. That's the unstoppable Cowboy Cerrone that people love and the one that wins fights. that's the guy that needs to show up immediately the night of the fight.
It's fascinating to hear both of you, mirror the same thoughts as one another. And so let me ask you the same follow-up that I asked him. How would you do that in the back? Because the back is kind of like, how do you actually do a full round? Would you just say, go full as far as hitting mitts? Would you mimic an entire round? What would you do back there?
I would. I bring my headgear, my mouthpiece, my shin guards and everything, and I bring my best sparring partner. And then you would do a round. I mean, it's go time. There's no turning back then. So you do your full round, then you come out in state, not have to like Cowboy. Almost his first round of every fight is sparring, and he don't start fighting and stop sparring until the second and third. He can't afford to do that with someone who comes out so hot like Conor. So I would suggest. I remember there was I believe it was RDA where I grabbed one of the Pettis brothers, Sergio, and me and him fought each other almost full on.
What?
Because I felt like I needed that coming out. I felt like I needed to come out hot. And when you watch even Conor, I shared a locker room with him in the back before. He was sparring and beating the shit out of Autumn for Artem for like an hour. So I was almost like, I kind of get why someone comes out hot when they spar in the back like that. They don't need to get into state because they're already in state.
When you did that with Sergio, did it help? Did you feel like it helped you in the fight? Which fight was that? Do you remember?
It might have been against Gaethje. It was against a real fast starter. It was I think it was against Gaethje, maybe in Detroit. But I grabbed him. I said, "Hey man, can we get some rounds?" And both of our coaches kind of separated us because it was getting intense. But sometimes you feel like you need that, especially against a fast starter. And someone like Conor, who he has the best first 8 minutes of any fighter out there. So you're going to need to be on your P's and Q's. Like for Cowboy, I would say come out hot, number one. I would say attack the lead leg very hard and fast. Keep the body and stay in kicking range. Don't let him get in boxing range. So for at least the first 2 rounds, stay disciplined, stay in kicking range, let the teeps go to his body, and let the lead leg kicks go. And whenever he can, like he did on the Brazilian Cowboy fight, steal a takedown here and there. Cowboy has some underrated wrestling and jiu-jitsu that he don't get to show everyone all the time, but he's dangerous there.
Amazing insight. Can I get your prediction? What's the official pick?
So I don't have a horse in this race.
Yep.
Like I love the old school guys who started when I did, like Mazadov and Lawler and even Cowboy. So my heart goes out to them. I respect both of these guys, but in this particular fight, I'm picking Conor, and it's not because I think he's the better fighter. I actually think Cerrone has more weapons and has more ways to win. But I'm picking Conor because of where I think the fight's going to take place. I think the fight's going to take place standing up. That this won't be resolved on the ground, and even more importantly, it's going to be taking place in boxing range. Conor's going to force and pressure Cerrone, and he's going to draw bad punches out of him, and he's going to be able to counter them bad punches. So I think it takes place standing up. It takes place in boxing range, and Conor wins because of his speed advantage, reach advantage, and that southpaw. Cerrone has been victim to a lot of southpaws. RDA, Nate, Pettis. He's been a victim of a lot of southpaws, and I think Conor's a bad recipe for him. And if the fight stays where I think it's going to, when I envision the fight, I think it's going to be standing up and in boxing range, I see Conor winning. But that being said, if all of us as fans watching get to see a third, fourth, and fifth round, this is all going to get really fun, and we'll be able to see Cowboy Cerrone take over. So I'm looking forward to a good fight, just like all you guys are.
Can't wait. Great stuff, Eddie. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the insight, and happy birthday again. Happy to hear you're doing well. Looking forward to the return and a big year for you in 2020. Thanks, my man.
Thank you, guys.
All right, there he is, the one and only, the underground king himself, Eddie Alvarez. All right, now let's go to a guy who's actually fighting on Saturday, UFC 246. Huge fight for him. Going back down to 155 is Anthony Pettis. He meets the streaking Diego Ferreira, who's won his last 5 in a row. Let's talk to Showtime now via the magic of Skype. Anthony, how are you? Anthony, can you hear me? I don't hear him. I see his lips moving. Anthony, can you hear me now? He can hear me, but I can't hear him. I hear him. I see his lips, like Chael was reading my lips, saying that he can hear me, but I do not hear him in my ear, in my IFB. But it's good that we see him. I thought we were going to do this via phone, so this is a nice little surprise. We're gonna connect with Anthony here in a matter of. Oh, I heard him there.
I can hear you.
Yeah, Anthony, I hear you. You hear me?
Oh, perfect. Yep.
All right, cool, man. Thank you for doing this, and thanks for doing it via Skype. I was expecting phone, so it's nice to see you. By the way,
sure.
Eddie was just telling a story. I don't know if you heard it. Do you remember that with your brother going at it with him in the locker room to prepare for one of his fights, sparring? Were you there for that?
I was fighting my brother.
No, he said that he asked your brother to help him prepare for one of his fights, and they did like a full-on sparring session in the locker room before one of his fights, and it got really tense, and everyone had to break them up. Not like an animosity thing, but I was just surprised that Eddie and your brother, different weight classes. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no, I wasn't part of that.
Okay, that's crazy. Anyhow, good to talk to you. Good to have you back on the show. Big fight for you this Saturday. First off, why go back down to 155? You had the 2 fights at 170 last year. Ultimately, why did you make this call?
Yeah, it was always an option for me to go to 55. I gave myself a year off from cutting weight, and it helped, man. Like right now, I'm feeling great on this weight cut. My body's not hurting, and I just think I need some rest. So it's been like 14 months since I went down 155 pounds.
And like on this Monday, how are you feeling, and how much do you weigh? How much more do you have?
I'm feeling great, man. I have about 8 pounds waking up. I'm 2 gallons of water in. Right on track.
Okay. And then obviously this opponent, Diego Ferreira, not a household name, but a guy who's really good. And like I said, he's on the longest winning streak of anyone as far as UFC fights are concerned, as far as anyone on the card is concerned. 5 fights in a row he's won. When you were told that this was the opponent, did you know of him? Had you seen any of his fights?
Yeah, he actually fought my teammate, Jared Gordon. So I didn't know who he was. Yeah, he's a scrapper, bro. It's a good fight.
Okay. You're impressed with him?
I am, yeah, 5-fight win streak. I mean, he has great jiu-jitsu. I feel like he's never fought no one like me, so I'm excited to go out in there and put the skills on.
And when you look back at the last time we saw you, that was a big spot against Nate Diaz, a lot of hype surrounding that fight. How do you feel about the fight now? What are we, 5 or so months later? Your feelings about it, about how it all went down. How do you feel?
Man, crazy. The training camp for that fight was perfect. No complaints. Even getting into California, and I was like, I think I made weight that Wednesday or like the Tuesday before. It was a perfect training camp. And then we go to the fight. I walk behind the scenes. The USADA comes up like, hey, we need you to do a piss test for your drug test. I did the first drug test, and it was too diluted because when you rehydrate, it's like too much water in you. So they had to do a second drug test, but I had to wait until I had to pee again. So I was about like an hour and a half before the fight, and I had to go again. And I tell the USADA guy, like, let's go get this done. I'm closing I do the piss test. I'm closing the first bottle up. I'm closing the first bottle up. That's like a twist cap. So I'm twisting the cap. I put it inside of the plastic bag, and I see blood, man. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, there's blood in this bag, and I look at my hand, and I gash my thumb on the USADA drug test.
What?
So I call the UFC doc in. I'm telling USADA what's going on. UFC doc comes in. He's like, all right, you need stitches, so we can do 2 things. We can stitch you, and then you'll probably bleed in the fight, or we can glue you shut.
What?
And then it would hold for the fight, but then you won't bleed in the fight if we glue you shut. So I'm like, damn, man, like I had to make a decision 1 hour before my fight. Like, do I want to get stitched up? Do I want to get glued up? Dana comes back. My coach is like, no, we're not fighting. Duke didn't want me to fight, but I had a perfect training camp. I felt amazing. And in my head, I'm like, man, like the cuts on my thumb, like, they're not going to stop a fight for blood on my thumb. And then, that was my process, my thought mind going into it. Then the doc comes in, he's like, all right, let's do this glue thing. So we glue it shut. They hit it with a light, and it made, like a flashlight, and it made it like harder not to glue. It burned like crazy. So like it glued shut. the house is gonna tape my hands up for the fight. So I get the hand glued shut. I talked to my fiance. I talked to Duke. Duke doesn't want me to fight. It was kind of up to me at that point. Like, what did I want to do? So I'm like, all right, let's tape my hands and let's see how I can warm up. So I go to tape my hands, and House is taping my hands. And by him like spreading my fingers like this, the webbing broke again. So he had to like put this like seaweed wrap on it with some tape to make it stop bleeding. And then you tape my hands up. So for the fight, I couldn't warm up because if I punched, the glue was breaking open. I couldn't grapple because obviously my hands cut. So I went out there with no warm up, and you could just see it in the fight, man. Like, it was a perfect training camp. I felt so good, and then I just went out there and I shit the bed, bro. Like I was in my head on that fight. I used the wrong energy again. Tried to knock him out. I remember thinking like, if I'm gonna bleed, he's gonna bleed. And I hit him with that right hand, the right hook, and I saw it. His eyes rolled back, and I think that what made me attack that. I try to get the knockout, and I used the wrong energy. I don't fight that way. But when I watch that fight, I don't fight that way. I felt so aggressive and so much adrenaline. So it was crazy. It was a perfect training camp. 1 hour before the fight, I ended up dashing my hand on the USADA drug test, and I got to fight compromised. So it was crazy, man. Like, even coming from the Wonder Boy fight, I had so much confidence going into that Diaz camp. I felt perfect, man. There was no excuses. Like, I was ready to fight, and shit happens.
Wow, that is an insane story. You've not talked about this before, right?
Yeah, I couldn't talk about it because I gave USADA a chance to make a fight. And right now we're going through some legal court. I got to sue him.
You're suing USADA for this?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the test, the rules are the person administering the drug test can't touch that bottle, the glass bottle that we put it in. Yeah. So I had to touch the glass bottle. I had to close it. I gave him a piss test before, so this is my second piss test of the night. And closing the glass top, something was like a jagged edge on it or something, and it gashed my hand, bro. And I had to get glued up before my fight. That's absurd. And your right hand, you said? Right hand, yeah. Like right here? You see it. Yeah, so you see it like in the fight. So I had House taped it up. Can you see this or not? Yep. Yeah. So House taped it up, and you see it in the fight. He wraps it around here. It's like a seaweed wrap with like the UFC tape around it. But I can't fight with that. So they were like, all right, once you get out there, we have to cut that piece off, and you're going to have to fight with this exposed cut with just glue on your hand. And, I'm just like, man, I'm not a bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't say no to this fight 1 hour before. The world's waiting for me to walk out. Hell no. And, the cards were dealt. Not in my favor. Was it hurting? Like, was it throbbing? Nah. It hurt it when I got it glued shut. Yeah. It was it was a cut. I needed stitches. So they use this, like, nail polish glue, and then they hit it with, like, this blue light, and it hardens it up. And that shit hurt so bad, it burned like crazy. But then, like, after the glue shut, obviously it just feels like a cut. My gosh, that is absurd. Yeah. So when you said you were waiting for them to make it right, but now you're gonna actually go ahead with the lawsuit. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by making it right? I was waiting for them to respond. So I got a lawyer right away, and I immediately went and talked to USADA. I think they were talking back and forth. I'm not sure exactly where that's at. Once this fight came about, I just stopped worrying about that. I'll let my legal team take care of that. But so they stopped responding or something, and I think that's where we're at right now. Where now we have to push forward. And safe to say, like, in the fight, you were thinking about it a lot. Like, it messed you up. Nah, I wouldn't say that, man. Like, I'm safe to say, like, I didn't get to warm up for the fight, so I did power shots, and instead of actually going in there and using my game plan. Like, Duke was so against it. Like, forever, for the rest of my career, if Duke Rufus tells me not to fight, I'm not fighting. Wow. So in the back, Duke, your head coach, longtime head coach, a guy who knows you almost as well, if not better than anyone in this game, told you to step away, told you not to fight, not to walk out. Duke was begging me not to fight. Wow. But man, I'm in the back of the arena. I hear the crowd. I hear the fans. Tough spot. I'm fighting a guy like Nate Diaz. I didn't want to lose that opportunity. Obviously, everyone knows what was going on. Like, knows the history and how big of a name he is, man. So it was like it was a great opportunity for me. And in my head, I just thought, I don't think they will stop a fight for a cut of my hand. So let's do this. Wow. And as far as the actual lawsuit is concerned, like, where are you in that process? I honestly, I stopped calling my lawyers about 2-3 weeks ago to even see updates. So I'll know after the fight. I had to focus on what's in front of me, so I'll find out after the fight. But I know it's moving forward. And in the fight itself, you severely injured your foot, correct? Did you actually break it? Yeah, I broke the top of my foot. At what point? the low kick he checked. So I thought it was a high kick, when I got done with the fight, but he checked the low kick. So I hit him with a big left hook and then a right low kick. But like, again, I didn't set it up. I threw big bombs. Like, I was just fighting like an amateur out there, bro. And it just pisses me off to see. So I'm excited to go this weekend and erase that.
Did you have surgery on the foot?
No, I didn't need surgery.
Okay.
They thought it was like Liz Frank or something, where like the top of the foot dislocates, but thank God it wasn't. You said chill out.
And that was early in the fight?
I think it was second round.
Okay.
Second round. Like right in the beginning of the second round. It was a left hook, right low kick, and he checked it.
Are you even able to go back and watch that fight, or does it bother you too much because of all you have been?
Yeah, I watched it. I look like an amateur. You know what I'm saying? That's not how I fight. I would never have fought Nate Diaz that way. Like, I knew that's the wrong way to fight a guy with a chin like Nate Diaz and a gas tank like Nate Diaz. But I mean, I was just, it was just a lot of shit going on.
You've obviously had a lot of highs and you've had the lows, and we've talked about the roller coaster career, but do you think this one, because of something as crazy as like closing a bottle cap, do you think this one will stick with you for a long time?
I don't want this to happen to any other fighter. I think something needs to change in the rules back there. Like, we should be doing the piss test after we perform, because if that would have happened, I would have did my fight and then do my drug test, and I would have never had to deal with a cut on my hand before my fight. So, I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, what's the difference if it happens 10 seconds after the
fight?
Or...
right after the fight, walk me out and then give me a piss test, or stay with me until I'm done. Like before he's in they're waiting for you in the room and you got to warm up. So you feel pressured to kind of hurry up and get the piss test done. So I did it, and it was too watery because I was too hydrated. And then I had to wait till I had to pee again, and I couldn't pee again until like an hour before the fight. So it fucked up my whole warm up.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry you went through that. So now you get a chance to come back, get back on track. Would it be fair to say you're done at 170, or do you think you're gonna? No. Definitely not. I just feel like, for me, I can bounce between the two. There's guys at 170 I still want to fight. There's guys at 55 I still want to fight. And this year I'm motivated. Really, I fell in love with the process of training again. Like this camp, I did my own nutrition. I mean, obviously I have a nutritionist, but I made all my own meals. I've never done that before. And I got myself down to where I'm at right now. I fell back in love with the process, and I'm excited about it. By the way, how do you feel, and congratulations to your brother, but how do you feel about him now leaving the UFC and going to Bellator?
Oh man, it was a business decision. We are professional fighters. We are prize fighters, and it doesn't matter, honestly, what he is under. I mean, my brother's everybody knows, and I took him under my wing. When my pops died, 16 years old, he was 10. And, that for me, to see him where he's at right now, it just makes me proud, man. He's making, good money doing a sport that we do as a family. And, he's about to go bring the Pettis name over to Bellator. So I'll be there.
Yeah, the following week from your fight, so a big couple of weeks for your family, and you don't have to fight on the same card anymore, which is probably a good thing for you guys. By the way, I just wanted to ask you this, because you were there and I haven't talked to you about it. I believe you were there when fellow manager Ali Abdelaziz appeared to have struck your manager, Abraham Kawa. What's your side of the story? What did you see there at the PFL event?
I don't even want to get into that. That's just some like, man, these guys are too old, and they're in a position where, I mean, not talking shit, but they're in a position where they're supposed to be professional. We're the fighters. They're the managers. So I mean, Abe handled himself correctly. Ali, I don't know what happened, like the personal thing or business thing, but I don't agree with that. I don't agree with acting that way.
Okay, fair enough. And being on the same card as Conor, because I know there was talks of you fighting Conor over the summer. What's that like for you? Maybe even if he didn't break his hand, he would have fought you in July, right, at Madison Square Garden. Is it weird for you? Is it mixed emotions being on the same card but not fighting him?
Nah, man. Honestly, I love the Irish fans, bro. Like, they come in there and they represent. So and they like me. So yeah, I'm excited to go perform again in front of these Irish fans and the crowd he brings. And man, he couldn't have picked a better guy. Cowboy Cerrone, bro. That's a guy that's been around forever. He deserves this shot. And I respect it, man. I'm excited for both guys. I think it's gonna be a great fight.
Yeah, yours as well. I'm looking forward to that one. That's a big fight for you, a big fight for Diego as well. Thank you so much for the time, Anthony. I'm really sorry you went through that. I had no idea, and I hope it all works out in your favor, and I hope Saturday night does as well for your sake. Good luck. We'll see you out there.
Thank you.
All right, there he is, Anthony Pettis, sharing an absolute crazy story about, in case you missed it, an hour before his fight against Nate Diaz in the locker room, cuts his hand. And you see, I tried to ask him questions about, did it affect you there? This is not a guy who's offering excuses. He could have probably told us this story back in September or October. The fight happened in August. Here we are in January. To cut your hand like that, mess you up, your right hand. That's crazy stuff. What kind of cup is this? You know, like those cups, I think it's those cups that you get in the doctor's office, right? You close it up. I mean, how could there be a thing to cut open a hand? That is wild. That is absolutely crazy. So we'll see how that pans out. I had no idea about that. But I am looking forward to his return. That's on the main card. We ran through the main card very quickly there. Holly Holm, Raquel Pennington on the main card as well. Carlos Diego Ferreira, as I said, on the 5-fight winning streak on the main card against Anthony Pettis. Alexei Oleinik against Maurice Green on the main card as well. Also a big fight, Macy Barber against Roxanne Modafferi. Looking forward to Sadiq Youssef. A lot of names, but also some younger talent that are getting an opportunity to shine on this card, like Barber, like Youssef. So a big spot, obviously, when you fight on a Conor McGregor card. All right. Thank you very much to Anthony Pettis for that. Later in the program, of course, we're going to talk to John Kavanagh and Owen Roddy and Roxanne Modafferi about Saturday night as well. But now let us go to our interview with Conor McGregor. This happened on Friday in Las Vegas, and I know a lot of you are looking forward to it. I had an opportunity to talk to him in August after the video of the incident in the bar in the pub in Dublin was released by TMZ, him punching the man. We spoke to him after that. That was a heavily scrutinized interview as far as his demeanor and the actions and his future were concerned. And so I was really looking forward to seeing how he was 5 months later. And of course, like I said at the top, a lot of people were talking about, you know, the best camp, the best mindset, the best health, the best training, all that stuff. Is that really true, or is that just, you know, the classic cliched pre-fight talk? So I had an opportunity to sit down in front of him, talk to him for about 47 or so minutes, and we touched on a lot of things, and I think a lot of you will find it very interesting. And so here, without further ado, is my conversation with the notorious one, Conor McGregor, who returns to action this Saturday at UFC 246 in Las Vegas against Donald Cerrone. We did this on Friday at the UFC Performance Institute. Take a look. Conor, it's great to see you again.
Good to see you, Ariel.
How are you?
Very good.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen you in person, so it's nice to be back here. It's a little nostalgic seeing the team and whatnot. And it's interesting because I've been talking to a lot of members of your team, and I keep hearing the same thing. We haven't seen him this happy in so long. It's a different Conor. He's so engaged. He's so motivated. Do you agree with all these statements? And if so, why is that?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good. I'm enjoying my training. I just took my, you know, I listened to myself what I needed to do in my training setup and outside of the gym, and I executed them. I followed what I said to myself that I needed to do, and it's giving me energy. It's giving me focus, and I'm happy now. You know, I'm enjoying my training. So
why are you happy now?
I mean, I'm just focused. I'm just committed. You know, when you say to yourself, right, you know what you've got to do, right? We all know what we've got to do. We say to ourselves, I should do it this way, or I should do this. And when you don't do that, and then you carry on, you feel, you know, like I always say, doubt is removed by action. So if you're not working, then that's where the doubt seeps in. So I knew things I should have been doing and things I shouldn't have been doing, and I still did them and didn't do them. If you get me. But now I'm listening to myself, and I followed my internal instruction, and it's just given me more passion and more focus and more drive, and I'm doing what I feel I need to do, and it feels good. So that's it.
What got you back on track? Like, is there a moment in your life that got you back on track? Do you recall when you started to tell yourself, I need to go back to how I once was?
I don't know about a specific moment. Just life is a crazy roller coaster, especially this life, you know. So we've ups, we've downs, but I find I'm at my best when I set out, when I say and when I must do something and I know I must do it, and I do it. I execute it, and that's what I'm doing right now. That's what I have done. The training has been phenomenal. My coaches, my team, everyone's been in sync together, and we've had a great camp, and we're very, very happy here. And obviously, it's good to be back in Las Vegas. I haven't been in Vegas in a while. Very excited, very happy.
You know, it's somewhat of a cliche in the fight game. Best camp of my life. I've never felt better. All this stuff. And I think in your particular case, because there's so much scrutiny on everything that you do, people will roll their eyes when they say, oh, best camp, we've heard this before. Why should they believe you? Do you want them to believe you?
You know, I can't focus too much on the external. Okay, it's great. It's all positive right now, right? It's like everything's going great and everyone's saying it's this and it's that, but I just must focus on my internal. And my internal is amazing, and my thoughts are strong. My belief is high. My confidence is high. And that's it. I feel like I'm not, I want to say back to who I was, but I'm even better than who I was. You know, everyone says we missed the old Conor, or the 2016 Conor, or the 2015 Conor, or whatever it was. But I feel I'm better than that now. I feel I'm mature. I've come full circle. I've experienced everything in this business, right? I mean, I'm just an experienced individual. I know what I need to do when I'm doing it, and I have a solid team of masters, tacticians behind me that I discuss my feelings and my thoughts with them, and we brainstorm. And communication is another thing. I wasn't communicating with my team and my people, and I was almost assuming that it should be understood, you know. And now we're just in sync. Like just conversations, constant conversations about techniques, about skills, about practices, and we're all just rising and feeling the energy, and it's a beautiful time.
Was there ever a point where you thought you wouldn't be back to this spot, maybe not even fight again? Was there ever a doubt in your mind?
No. You know, I was there. My training was flawless. Like I said when we had that discussion a while back, right? I was in phenomenal condition. I just had a few little slip-ups, and they caused me. I ended up in a damn cell. I thought, you know what I mean? It just slipped away from me. But I was in a phenomenal place then also. So, I knew I'd get back. I knew I'd. Sometimes certain things need to happen for you to get things right. So that's what happened to me, and here I am.
You know, when we spoke in August, it was a bit of a different Conor. You were very contrite. You were apologetic. You've never been known to be an apologetic guy, but it seemed like you were.
What did Poirier say? Poirier said, I went from apologising to absolutely nobody to apologising to absolutely everybody.
And it was different, and I think the fans were unsure what to make of it, right? They weren't sure if you were being sincere or not. Wow, we've never seen Conor in this.
Look, I'm as real as it gets, like the slogan of the UFC. You get what you see with me. If I'm in the wrong, I'm in the wrong, and I'm real. That's who I am. So.
That wasn't that long ago. That was just 5 or so months ago. But your demeanor is different. You seem different. You seem happier. Of course, you're about to fight. What's the difference between this guy and that guy in August? Were you nervous about your career? Were you nervous about your future there?
No, I just I let people down, and that's it. And just I'm in a position where I must you must take control of things and not shy away from things. And that's I've never done that in my career, and I never will do it. And I'm back here now. How many months? 5 months ago that was. Solid 5 months work. So I'm very, very happy with it.
One thing that I remember you saying in that interview was you felt like it was a knife in the heart when you started to hear the Irish fans in particular lose faith in you, lose that trust in you, because they propped you up, right? You meant so much to them. Do you feel like
the support of the people means a lot to me? You know, I do this to entertain the people. You know, this is for my fans and my people who believe in me, and not so much anything that's gonna, just my lack of commitment. I think the people who believe in me and support me, they deserve better, and I wish to give them that, and I will, and I am. I know, like you said, people can see that I'm putting in the work, and I'm putting in the focused work, and that's why we're all in good spirits.
Do you feel like they are back on your bandwagon, or do you think you have to do something on January 18th?
No, I don't really pay. You know, that's bandwagon, man. If there's even a thought of that, well, then they're not really with me anyway, right? So, look, I've got my team, my people. I know who's with me and I know who's not, and that's, I'll say a prayer for those who curse me and try and bring harm to me, and move on and stay focused on the positive aspects of my life. And there are many, many great things in my life, and that's it. And ignorance is bliss, they say, right? So that's helped me a lot, and I've got blinkers on, right? I'm just focused. Nothing can infiltrate my internal thoughts, no external. It's like a lot of the narratives, Ariel, that people say, and it's a crazy game, right? It used to irritate me the way certain narratives are spread, and the way words are twisted, and these type of things. And I had to just disengage from it. When I came into the game, it would happen, and I'd kind of laugh it off and play up to it and do my thing, and then it just kept on and on and on, and it just got a little much, and then I reacted. I reacted to disrespect, but no more. I'm just focused on myself, my inner thoughts, my team's thoughts, and that's where we're at.
The legendary boxer, Marvin Hagler, he once said many moons ago that it's hard to wake up at 5 a.m. to go run outside when you're waking up in silk pajamas. You've experienced that now, right?
I'm kind of in a silk tracksuit.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
this
very
is, you know, it's out the Reebok Conor McGregor line.
Is that a real thing?
No, yeah.
It's hard
it's not, I don't think it's, for me, it's not about money, right? I'm in a position where it's forever money now. This is not for money for me, you know what I mean? So, no amount of money will stop my hunger for this and my hunger to compete and entertain and live my life the way I want to live it and the way I enjoy to live it. And it's certainly, it's too much money, and without an awareness of it in the past can be dangerous. You know, there's no limits, there's no boundaries. You can do anything, you can go anywhere, but I know what I want to do and what I enjoy doing, and this is what I enjoy doing, so I'm going to keep doing it. And now I'm doing it full steam ahead, and I'm in the best shape of my life, mental and physical.
But it's not like you're throwing a basketball into a hoop, right? You're getting punched in the face, and you have to get punched in the face leading up to the fight and then in the fight itself.
No one's punching me in the face, Ariel, you know what I mean? I'm too
understand.
sharp, mate, trust me on that.
But I'm just saying, where do you find that motivation now? If you have forever money, why do you keep doing this?
Because I love it. It's for the love, Ariel. I absolutely love the game. You know what I mean? What did I tell you last time we spoke? I love this business. It's a wild game. I'm involved in so many businesses, right? Thriving businesses. But there's no business like the fight business.
Right. Was there any possibility in the making of this fight? Because I remember you telling me you wanted to fight in December, and it didn't work out, and there was the Edgar talks. But then, of course, we settled on this one, and we'll get to Donald in a second. But was there ever any issues because of what happened last year with all the stuff of making this fight, of getting it done, of being able to come to America to make this fight happen? Were there roadblocks?
What a company is the Ultimate Fighting Championship, right? Such an amazing company that's helped me, and the people in the background, and we've always done great business, and people know my character, you know. People that know me know my character, so everything went smooth, and the people that helped me in the background, they understand that, and they helped me, and I'm very thankful for that. So, no, there was no problem making it. Everything went smooth.
I know you were in court in November. You paid the fine. You pled guilty for the incident with the bar. We spoke about what happened in Miami. Is there anything else that's pending in your life now, or we have a clean slate in 2020?
Clean slate.
Clean slate. I remember you telling me not that long ago you felt like your character was being assassinated constantly in the press. Do you feel like that is still the case?
Yeah, but I just don't. I just, like I said, blinkers. Oh, I got look to that. I will say a prayer for that. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It's part of the life, right? It's just, like I said, it just sometimes I got a bit on top of me, and then I was like, reacted, but no more. Now I am. I had to go to that point.
How do you do that, though? How do you go from always wanted to react and then to say, like, I'm done with this?
Because look at where it led me. Look at where it led me, man. Look at where it led me, reacting to disrespect and these type of things. And I've learned some valuable lessons in this that I'm very, very thankful for, and I will use them going forward.
You talk to anyone that helped you see this light, to help you, understand that you have to stop reacting?
Just not anyone in particular. I've got some great people in my life. I've got some great people in my life. My coaches, my management, everyone, my family, of course. You know what I mean? And I've had some good conversations with people, and then the most important, you've got to have those internal conversations, because if you can't tell yourself, then no one can tell you. So. I'm grateful for the path that I've been on. Truly, it's been a phenomenal path, and I'm very, very thankful. I'm very, very excited to be back.
How would you describe 2019 for you?
A learning year, a year of figuring out myself and my situation. 2020, the year of perfect vision.
Right.
Although I've actually got better vision than 2020. I was on the eye exam that they said of 2015.
Really?
Now the last time I was here, they said 2010, but then the lady was like 2015 today, at this time. And 2010 is like a bionic eye. So I think I've got good eyesight, let's just say that.
And now you have 2 children, right?
2 children.
A boy, Conor Jr., and your daughter, which is always a great influence on a young man, right? Yeah, How has that changed you?
Yeah, my daughter, Kriya Mairead McGregor, my heart is full, Ariel, with my kids. They are here with me now in Las Vegas. We have a Vegas residence. It's great to be back in the Vegas home with the family. Diaz here, my sister's here helping out. Absolutely amazing. I'm very, very blessed. And what a time for it to happen for me, you know what I mean? It was right on the money for me, you know what I mean? I needed my kids to help me, and they have helped me, and I'm very, very happy and very, very proud.
I remember there was a time when you were talking, I remember leading up to the Aldo fight. Oh, he has a family, he's not 100% focused.
Yeah, I know.
Look at you
yeah,
now. I
yeah.
see you walking around with the kids, the stroller and everything. I never would have thought this. Did it turn out better than you thought? In a way, it was a positive.
Yeah, of course. Now I'm very, very grateful. I'm very, very blessed that I can bring my family with me. Jose was on his own over here when we were doing the tour, and all over the United States of America, all over the world. We done that tour actually, London, Ireland, Brazil, everywhere. But he hadn't got his family with me. I'm very grateful that I can bring the family with me and the kids. And wow, how life is crazy, right? Life is beautiful.
Would you want to bring your kids to the fight?
I don't know. No, my daughter's a little young. I think I'll have my mother. My family's coming out like they always come out, and I think maybe my mother might stay in the house, and I'll see how it is. I'm at work, you know what I mean. This is work at the end of the day, and it's a wild game. So I might bring Junior. He's been at some intense sparring sessions. He loves to fight. He loves fighting himself, but I'll figure it out. I don't think I won't bring my daughter. No, I'll leave my daughter with my mother, and I'll figure out maybe Junior.
Does he understand who you are and what you do, or not quite yet?
He certainly understands fighting, and I don't know whether he understands who we are. I always say the champ Junior. You know, I look forward to the day when I show him tapes and show him footage, and he doesn't quite understand yet. Although he's a very intelligent young boy for like two and a half years of age, he is. Very, very proud of my family.
In a weird way, is it almost possible to say that they helped save your career?
That's what I'm saying, 100%, right at the time that I needed it the most. So I'm very, very happy. I'm very, very blessed.
Obviously, you know, we've covered, back in August, we covered a lot of the stuff that happened over the past year for you, but serious things have been written about you and have been alleged towards you. Is there anything that you want to say about these allegations that have been written about you, that have been said about you?
Look, just... No, I can't say anything about this. It just has to take place, right?
Does it bother you that these things are out there, that people call you, you know,
would it bother you?
Yes.
There you go. But
so why not respond to them?
Time, Ariel. Patience. Patience is a skill we must master. Patience is one of the most valuable skills a human being must master, and I'm working hard to master it, and I feel I'm getting there. So, time will show all. And that's it. Right now, I'm focused on the bout, focused positivity, good thoughts, and I'll say a prayer for those who try and curse me or try and bring harm to me with these type of things, and that's it.
And as a family man, as a father, I mean, even things like, you know, there was a story that came out, someone said that you were the father of their child, and then it comes out that you're not the father. That sticks to you, right? That has to hurt.
2.5 years that situation was going on for, so that was a tough one for a while, yeah, but it is what it is. It's just, there you go. It's not mine.
Last question on this. Can you say, as your manager has said and your legal team has said, you deny any of these allegations that have been placed on you?
Of course.
100%?
Yes. Hell, Ariel, come on, man. You're serious, like. Time, please, just time, that's all. Time will reveal all, time will tell all, and then that's it.
How did we end up with Donald Cerrone as your opponent? You seem to have many options. Why him?
Well, I said I'd fight him, right? I mean, me and Donald have had a long history. Well, not a long history, but we've had a history. It's an exciting bout. It's a fan-friendly bout. It's a fight that excites me, and it's a fight that I said I'd partake, and I appreciate it. I appreciate Donald, I have to say. You know, he's fought a lot of times, and since the last time I saw him at that Aldo press conference many, many years ago. He's gone on and fought so many times. He's also a family man, and with his grandmother and these things. I appreciate that, and I respect that, and I also respect the method he went about with the proper whiskey. And you know, so much work goes into these things, and to see that bit of respect. I appreciate that, and I look forward to having a good bout. And I know you're not interested in that, and I know you said that wasn't the wrong way. But for me, in this part of in this time of my life, that is the right way to go about it. You know, and especially now. And I'm happy to come back and have my comeback fight in the beginning of my season against Donald, and I look forward to it. It's going to be a good night, and I'm going to shine here on January 18th. I'm going to create magic inside the octagon like I have done many times before, but this is going to be something special.
So the opponent and the weight was your decision ultimately, right? You could have made this at 155.
I'm underweight right now, so
How much do you weigh on this Friday before the fight?
I'm underweight. I'd say 160 and a bit.
So why not make him?
I know I could have. I just don't think he looks well at 155. Right? He does not look well at 150. He's a 170 fighter.
So don't you want him to suffer on the weight of the?
Why would I want someone to? I don't care. No, I could beat him if he fought. I'd beat him any bleeding. I'd beat him at any weight. I'd beat him when he bleeding. You know what I mean? I'd beat him if I had the flu.
Right.
So like, I don't need. You know what I mean? I don't need that. I just want to focus on my training and keep me sharp. And you know, I don't got to cut and then build and then cut. It's not. You know, I'm happy where I'm at. And also 170 is an exciting one for me. I like 170. I like what's going on in the 170 division at the minute. You got Jorge with that belt. You got the other guys with fighting for the belt. And I like all what's going on at 170. And I feel good at 170. I feel energetic. It's what I weigh. It's what I weigh. And that's it. So it opens up so many more options, right?
So you're done at 155?
No, I'm not done at 155. No, hey, I could make 155 this fight, no problem. But I just want to go in fresh and as it is. Let the fight play as it is, and then open up all my options.
Historically, the knock on Donald has been he can't win the big one. Never won the belt in WC, never won the belt UFC, and when it seems like he has a big fight, when the spotlight is on him, he falters. There's no bigger spotlight than a fight against you. So are you counting on that? Are you counting on him to not show up, so to speak?
No, all that means nothing. It's me I'm going in there fresh, sharp, fast, light, dangerous, powerful, and full of energy. And it can be if you want to put it on the first fight of the card, in the first prelim fight or something. I think that's going to make Donald be comfortable. Well, then do that and let's see what happens. It's still going to be what's going to happen. So that's it.
I know you're very in tune with what the fans say, and when this fight was first announced, everyone was like, he's ducking Gaethje. That was the fight to make. Gaethje just beat Donald. How can you fight Donald?
Yeah.
This is the fight to make. What's your response to the people who say that you were ducking Gaethje and you picked the easier fight?
Well, first of all, I put it into the UFC's hands, right? I was like, they wanted to make the bout. I wanted to make the bout. And Justin's it's a little too heavy the way he was going on and certain things were said. A lot of people are saying certain things or following these narratives, these vicious narratives that are going around about me, and I'm like, I'm just putting that on the back burner for a minute, but I'll get to him. I'll get to him. He was knocked out by Poirier. He was knocked out by Alvarez. That's a handy one. That is a true handy fight for me. So, whatever.
He has made it very personal with you, right?
Not like you're not going to be able to make it personal with me. Certainly not now. I've gone to the brink of personal attacks.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm bulletproof. You're not gonna do that. No, that's nothing. But I'll fight him at some stage. I think I'll fight him at some stage. Yeah.
This year.
Possibly this year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be active.
3 fights, right?
This is a spar to me. I'm going to go in here and do as I please in here and put on a show for the fans and get a beautiful win. And be going through the divisions. Look at me. You know what I mean? Three weight divisions. You know what I mean? No one's doing this. So I'm very, very excited and very happy. And long may the opponents continue to come, and I'll continue to knock them down.
So you're viewing this as a season, as you said, hoping for 3 fights, right?
Possibly
if not more.
Possibly more, yes.
Could you lay it out perfectly for us? That's what everyone wants to know. We're all speculating.
It's hard to do that, you know. Just know that there's activity. There's activity. I don't even know when the next.
Donald?
Well, if I go in here and put Donald away in a couple of seconds, which very well could happen, right. I could bleed and I could probably bleed and do the next event. That's the type of mindset I'm at. I just want to, for me, right after the fight now is going to be the next. I'm not gonna like sink in with this buzz, you know, and then just because you can get caught up in it, right? You get the win and you're great then, and all this type of stuff. And I'm gonna go out in the night. I've got an after party set. I'm gonna go out and have a few sips of my proper whiskey, right? I've abstained from that. I made a promise to myself. I made a promise to my team. I made a promise to my fans that I would stay 100% fully focused. So I've abstained from that, and I miss it. You know, I do love my liquid. I'll have a few little sips of my after party. I'll take the following day to rest, and then the day after that I will engage in a red zone McGregor fast training session like I done post Diaz 2. After the Diaz 2 fight, I went and had my after party. I took a day rest after the fight, And I went in and I done red zone sprints on the ski erg. The ski erg is a stationary machine where you pull the strings down because the leg was jammed up from kicking Diaz's knee and his legs, and so I couldn't. I was on crutches, and I got that work in and just reset my mind. Put me back in that training mind. It's so easy for you to finish a fight, have a little celebration, and then it stretch into the next day, and then you eat a bit of bad food, and then the next day, and then it's kind of hard to pull yourself back in. So I have my plan that I'm going to set out, and that's what it is. I'm going to have my little celebration, rest the next day, and then back into training, and then what's next?
Wow. Okay. So this is, I mean, we haven't seen you active like this in a very long time. So if I asked you, do you even have the opponents in mind?
It does not matter.
You don't even have?
There's so many of them. Justin's there, Jorge's there, Kamaru's there.
You don't have a preference?
I don't, just
so
activity.
would it be fair to say you want to end with Khabib in Moscow? Because that's what you said
I'd
in
love
November.
that one. I'd love that one. That's got to happen.
Right.
It's got to happen. You know what I mean? It must happen. So I went out to Moscow, you know what I mean? I wasn't so...
What was that like?
Oh, amazing. Moscow's a great place. Russia's a great place. I got to say, I'm very impressed with it. And,
you didn't feel unsafe at any point?
No, the Russian people. Did you see the fans and they're good people out there.
So
they
one guy
support
throw
me.
something at you.
You saw the reflex, you know yourself. I could have caught it as well.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love the game, you know. I look forward to that competition. Fully focused. You can see it. Come on, you can see the shape of me. You can see the
different, yeah.
Everyone knows, and no matter what, that man can run, but he cannot hide from it. So,
in the build-up to that fight, a lot was said, right? It's very personal between you two, and a lot was said that I think
it wasn't just said. There was actions that led to what was said. It wasn't just. It didn't just get to words. It was, there was actions that led to those words. So,
like what?
Like just things that throughout the course of the build-up, like with the Artem situation,
right.
and things that maybe slipped under the radar, like it was me that kind of began all this, and whatever. It did get very, very personal. But I'm taking a back step from that, and I'm focusing on the skills. It's a very skillful bout. He poses a specific style set, and I pose a specific style set, and it's an interesting clash with two fully focused fighters, and that's what will happen in the next bout. And I look forward to it and settling it.
But I'm just curious, because it got so personal, things about his family, and he was talking about things that were being alleged about you. And do you regret any of that? Do you wish in hindsight it didn't get that personal about his family, the religion, all that, the dad?
Yeah, so some of the things maybe too far, but hey, it is what it is, and it's the fight business. At the end of the day, it went the way it went, and that's it.
But you think that fight will happen again? When you hear him say he's got to win 10 fights and all this stuff,
yeah.
What is your reaction to that?
Fear, doesn't want it. So, it is what it is.
You mentioned something very quickly there that I just wanted to ask you about because I think a lot of people would be surprised. You said no liquid in this camp. Nothing. When's the last time you had a drink?
A couple of months ago, 3-4 months ago maybe, yeah.
Is that a first for you, or at least first in a while?
I was drinking on Bleeding Fight Week last one, I think. I was on the Conan O'Brien show.
Yes.
But I mean...
Prior to the Khabib fight?
Yeah.
You were drinking in the build-up?
Yeah.
Was that common for you in your career?
Not really. Not to that extent, no. Not to that extent.
Why'd you do that?
Don't know. I had just venom in me or something. Don't know why. I had people holed up in a hotel from that part of the world, and I would ring and arrange a fight. So they'd come from the hotel down to the gym and have a full blown fight, no head guard, gloves. That's like a fight. I'd win. I'd have a war and I'd win. I'd knock the guy out, and then I'd go off and celebrate, and then I'd come back in 3 days.
3 days. What were you doing?
Just don't know. Not doing what I should have been doing.
Celebrating, partying.
I don't know, just not living the life that I should be living, and that's it.
Right.
So I'm not going back there, you know what I mean? I'm in a great spot now, and that's it. And I've made mistakes, and, I've been man enough to admit them and correct them, and that's what I've done. And, you know what I mean? I might not be perfect, Ariel, right? But with a good sleep and a full belly, I'm damn close.
What time are you going to sleep these days?
Well, right now we're getting onto the clock of fight time. Right, I'd say I'll be walking into the octagon 10 p.m. Las Vegas time. But back home in Ireland, I was sleeping early. I was waking up early. We had a set time. I think it was 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. on my training sessions slots. So that was it. I stayed structured throughout that. Now that we're here, we're in the gym now every time on fight night, or at the time of the fight, and carrying on. I feel I've got accustomed to the time already, to the time zone. So perfect, absolutely flawless camp.
And I've heard you call that previous camp a disaster, right? I'm not trying to get you.
No,
to...
it's not a disaster. You learn something from everything, right? I've learned a lot about myself through it, and don't get me wrong, the work was great. Like, it's not like I was coming into the gym being lazy and half-assed. Like I was almost, like I said to you, I was almost too intense and too serious and working too hard in the gym, and then not working hard enough outside of it, because that's a big part of it as well. You know what I mean? You've got to be focused outside, because then the next day rolls around, and if you aren't focused when you left the gym and then it's time to go back, you're not as sharp, you're not as fresh, you're not as eager to be there. And that's what kept happening to me. And I just eventually didn't want to be there, and then I'd get there and then I'd have the scrap, and then I'd off I go again. And it is what it is. Everything's a lesson, and some parts of it were enjoyable though, you know. I do love a good scrap. I just got to stay focused outside the gym, that's it.
How are things with your head coach, John Kavanagh?
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Very in contact. You know, we discuss a lot. We discussed training methods, practices, everything. You know, that's communication has been excellent this camp, and I made sure of that. You know, because it wasn't the last camp. Not even with John, with everyone involved. You know, so I've been a lot more in communication with my team and relaying how I feel, and you know, we're some unit together. We are truly some unit. I brought back my boxing coaches as well. Went back to my old boxing gym, Phil Sutcliff, and them at Crumlin Boxing Club. It's where I learned how to punch. That's been good for the soul and that. And you know, I said in my head after I went back then, I was like, because I'd done a boxing bout in their Good Friday show, and I had Phil in the corner and that, and I was like, damn, I should have had the guys in there for the Mayweather build up, and you know, as part of the team. But look, that's the boxing avenue still there also, and it's good to have the guys back, and there's a great energy in the camp. The work's been phenomenal. Everyone's in sync, and that's it. I have a true team of tacticians behind me, and I'm excited to go in and represent our work.
And this is something that I don't think the fans have caught on just yet. You and Phil Sutcliff, I've seen you working with him, kind of like the classic old boxing guy, if you will. The decision to bring him back, I think, is really interesting, and I think symbolic of the fact that you were trying to go back to when it was simpler and to your roots, so to speak. Is this the first time in your MMA career that you have had him a part of your camp and your corner?
Part of the corner, yes. Not part of the camp, but since UFC days.
Sure.
My early MMA career, I was still in the boxing gym. I would go to the boxing gym
That's fascinating.
and the mixed martial arts gym. We were kind of at loggerheads a while back at the very beginning, because it was like not understood what the mixed martial arts was, and then that's kind of what led me then just to kind of stay focused on the MMA. But boxing's such a beautiful discipline, and these guys are the best. You know what I mean? So I'm very, and this is where I learned how to fight and learned how to box. So I'm very happy to be back.
When did you meet him?
Phil?
Yeah. When were you at Crumlin? How old were you?
I'd say about 12, maybe.
Wow.
12, yeah. So
do you see the symbolism in that? To have a figure
12,
like that?
Proper 12. How about that?
That
number 12 keeps bouncing up everywhere. It's mad, isn't it?
246, right?
246 is... UFC 246 adds up to 12. There was
your 12th UFC fight?
It's my 12th UFC fight. Something else. There was another one. I think the date counted up to 12 or something.
01.
Numerology is a mad one.
But there is some great symbolism in that, right? To bring back the old coach, so to speak.
Yeah, of course.
Not to push anyone out, but you're adding him. You didn't push anyone out.
No, of course.
That's always been a big thing for you.
Yeah, we're better together. We are all better. We're better together, most certainly. Everyone on my team has amazing skills and amazing knowledge of the fight game in specific areas. Do you know what I mean? So, and like I said, we're all in sync. We're all in discussion, and we're in a great spot.
Did you sign a new deal?
Signed a new deal, yes.
How many fights?
It's just usually just one fight at a piece, yeah.
One fight, then you renegotiate?
I believe that's what will happen after this one. I'd say, yeah.
No point of doing the 8-fight deals anymore if you're just going to renegotiate every single time.
Yeah. I'm confident it's going to be a nice paycheck.
Most ever?
Probably in my mixed martial arts career, yeah.
Really? Can you give us the range? We knew how much you made for Mayweather.
Yeah, I'd say about, it could be, I'm estimating a good 80 million.
80? Come on.
Yeah, because I have, like I said, we got the Australia and Canada and England and England and Ireland, and it should be a good one.
Wow. What did you make for Khabib?
50 in a bit.
Wow. 80. No one's ever made anything. Most MMA fighters combined haven't made that. Business is still good. Business is still good.
Of course, they think I'm toast, Ariel, but I'm still the bread.
That's right. You know, this is the first time since the Siver fight that you're not a champion, or there's no stakes, there's no belt on the line or anything like that. Even with Nate, not a title fight, but you're still a champion and whatnot. Does it feel a little different?
No.
Nothing.
No. I am champion. I am the champ, forever and always, etched in stone.
Were you annoyed at the BMF title stuff?
No, I thought it was great.
Yeah?
I thought it was great. Straight away, I was like, show me that belt. I wanted to see, I saw the belt before Dana sent it over to me, and then I was messing saying I designed it, because I seen the drawing of it, the outline of it, but I didn't see the colour of it. I was estimating it was going to be the BMF with the gold.
Right.
And then when I saw the silver and the kind of black, and I don't know about it, it's all right. We'll scoop it up, though. We'll add it to the thing, yeah, definitely.
So do you almost feel like those two should finish up their business and maybe the winner fights you? Because I saw
who was
Masvidal and Nate. Because it ended so unceremoniously.
Yeah, you don't know what way Nate is now. You know what I mean? It's whether he wants to do it again. I don't know. I think we were robbed of it, right? I mean, you could see Jorge dipping. Jorge was dipping there at the end of that third round, and that's where Nate's only kicking in. It would have been great to see the 4 and 5. We didn't see it. Look, whatever. See what happens.
Do you really feel that the Khabib-Tony fight won't happen?
I just maybe, possibly. It hasn't happened. It's supposed to happen 4 times. I mean,
right.
They're known for pulling out, right? Khabib was supposed to fight Donald about 3 or 4 times also, and also pulled out with a knee injury, a back injury, a bleeding. Something happened with his liver.
What do you mean?
I'm just saying that he's pulled. They're known for pulling out of bouts.
Right.
Tony bleeding, tripped on a wire, and they're bleeding. Fox Studios with a pair of black sunglasses on. He's balancing on bleeding chairs stacked on top of each other. You know what Tony's like.
Right.
So, see what happens.
Did you see Usman's reply to your comments?
Not really. What was it again?
Essentially, if you wanna have your career ended, you could come fight me, and all this stuff. You don't want any of this.
Boy, how by holding my fucking leg, holding my leg. Come on, man. This is not how to fight. I'll show you how to fight. You know what I mean? The people know what's a scrap and what's not a scrap, and that method of fighting is not. You know what I mean? Although that last one was a good fight, they both stood. You know what I mean? They both had their moments, but you know what way he try and fight me, so.
But isn't it a little disingenuous? Like everyone,
it's baloney. It's baloney. It's tainted baloney.
Right. You laugh at it.
Exactly.
Recently, did you have someone come visit the gaff, as you would call it, the apartment, as a bit of a motivational?
Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins has been a good man.
What happened?
I went because when I was in Miami, right, I went to Tony Robbins asked me to come to his house and and speak to his people, like his people of the Platinum Lions, they're called. Tony's a great man. Went into the room, music started playing, and I was just real energetic, and I got a great buzz with it. Had a great conversation with him. I believe it's online.
Yeah.
It went everywhere in that, and I've just kept in contact with Tony. He's very, very helpful. He's a top man. Tony is like it's not just words. You know what I mean? There's action in there, and there's structure in what he's saying, and he came to the house and went over some things. And again, I had my coaches there, a couple of them, John, and my conditioning coaches, and I was speaking to Tony, and we were, close the eyes. It was a good thing, and I wanted John there and the doc and my fast coach so they could understand where my thinking was, and so we could be a bit more in sync. And I was very happy with it. I felt really uplifted coming out of it, and took some things. Very thankful for that, and I'm going to continue that. I think he's going to come out to me on the day before the fight, maybe also.
Wow.
So yeah, so
it's almost like a motivational.
Yeah, he's shaping into me. It's actually not even a motivational thing. There's not. It is that as well, but I'm not sure what the title would be of it, but it's. You know what I mean? He's probably shaping up to be a life coach of mine, so I'm very happy with that.
Wow, and he doesn't live here, right? He
came in just for that. Yes, that showed me a lot as well. You know what I mean? And came to my house and.
Is there a lesson or two that he taught you that
a couple of things.
Share?
Yeah. We went over some things, and I'll just keep it at that.
Okay. Do you ever go back and look at your early fights, even pre-UFC or early interviews?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, certainly. That's one thing that I've done, right? 'Cause
Recently?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I went back and listened to my old self. You know what I mean? What way I was thinking when I was, you know, everything was innocent. Like, everything was, just, you know what I mean? Not what it is now, that helped me a lot. I was able to go back and see what way my way of thinking was then to the way it is now, and you know, just add what is useful, discard what is not. You know, Bruce Lee quote, and that's what I done. And yeah.
It gives you motivation?
Yeah, of course. Gives me a
Do
motivation.
you even remember what that was like, being on welfare? You know, I was actually watching the documentary last night, the Notorious documentary, and you and Dee, your lifelong partner, are in like a tiny, tiny room in your parents' upstairs, and you're both eating up there. It's insane to see that, and now to see, you know, what you've become. Do you even remember what that's like?
Yeah, of course. I stay close to my roots always. I stay close to how I came up always in my way of thinking. Of course, you've got to.
Yeah, because there's a part of you that could forget it, right? You have all this money, you don't know what to do with it. You're buying things whenever you want, fancy clothes, all that stuff. There's a part of you that could forget that. That's understandable.
Yeah.
But you haven't.
No, I made sure of that. Stay close to my roots. Stay close to who I am and who I was, and that's it. And
you still
never forget.
Spending and things that you still do?
A lot less, though. A lot less.
Why is that?
I don't know. Just I have a lot of things, right? Like I said, I actually said this to Tony Robbins, right? Because I read something about LeBron James a while back, about maybe a year ago, that he spent 1.5 million annual on his health, right? Himself, his everything, his nutrition, his training, his everything, and I spent nothing. And I was like, only in camp, I bring a team together of people, and I was like, that's not the way to do this. You know what I mean? But I drop money on a blading car or a watch, and you know what I mean? I'm like, spend on myself, you know, on my health and my fitness, and that's helped me. And then you acquire more. You're gonna acquire even more then when you're sharp, and that's what I am now.
So, and less on possessions and things.
Less
like
on
that
possessions, but you've got to go through that. You're gonna always go through that when you get a windfall. You know what I mean? You're gonna start getting things. You just get a little bit. It doesn't excite me as much as it would have. You know what I mean? What excites me now is creating. You know, I like to create the things that I love, like the clothing and that. I'm very much involved in the designs and building things with Reebok and with my company August McGregor, and of course the whiskey and these ventures, and that's what I enjoy doing. So.
You're 31 now. Do you think you'll still be fighting at 40?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. It's probably.
But you're not willing to put like a cap.
No. I'm gonna have a solid couple of years, though. I know that. I'll be rocking till I'm a good 35. I'm gonna hit the Billy by the time I'm 35 years of age.
The Billy?
I'll be a billionaire by the time I'm 35. That's.
So 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Really? You're getting there?
Yeah.
Do you look at those lists and compare yourself? You know, when they put the highest earning athletes, Floyd. You look at those lists?
That's my list. I'm coming for that list.
Where are you on the list now?
Well, it alternates by year. I think I'm not sure where I was this year. Not bad. I think I was, I forget now, to be honest, but I was up there. I saw the decade when Floyd was top of the decade, so it's fair play to him.
Yeah.
He's just not so good at the management of it, right? And
how close are you to the Billy?
No, I'm still a good way away.
Okay,
I mean, I'll get there. I've got the methods, and it's something that excites me.
And you have to keep fighting in order to get that, right? Like, you can't just leave. Part of the success
Yeah, but I'm
outside.
not fighting for that.
No.
Fighting for that. You know what I mean? Fighting definitely helps everything. And fighting's up there. Fighting's up. Look at the amount of bread I'm making through the fight game, and I'm not even scratching the surface on what I really probably should be paid, right?
Right.
I mean, like, the back end money is where it's coming through, but it should be guaranteed, right? But I mean, whatever it is, what it is. So the fighting's definitely an animal to get there, like the rest of them.
Before it's done, do you want to have another boxing match? Do you feel like that's...
Most certainly.
Yeah?
I'd like to rematch Floyd. I think we should rematch Floyd. I mean, he's flirting with it and doing all this, and he can go and pick someone else. It's not going to be the same. It's not... I done phenomenal in that bout. And the only reason I lost that bout was because I prepared for a back-footed Philly shell style of opponent. And when the fight was like that, I was picking him apart. Then he came forward and started pressing, and I wasn't sinking into my shots like I am now with my boxing coaches under my belt that are drilling specific boxing things into me again. And I know I'd beat Floyd. I know I'd beat Floyd if we rematched. And when we rematched, he's not going to do a mixed martial arts bout like he said. It was supposed to be. It was supposed to be me boxing, and then we'll do a mixed martial arts bout. That was what was said, and it came out of his mouth as well. And it was not written, but it was a verbal agreement, right? And obviously, that's not going to happen. And I'm not going to push him on that either. But I would like to box him. I think that would be a good rematch.
Have you even broached the subject yet? Have you said
we've definitely been talking. It's always kind of...
You talked to him?
No, not to him, but
it's his people?
Yeah, just all this type of... He's coming back and all this.
Yeah. When he sat with Dana White at the basketball game, right? They had a handshake deal.
Yeah, I think, it was a good capital. It was a good...
Yeah.
Yeah, a good noisemaker for them, you know.
Could this happen this year? Is this something you're going to try to...
You never know. They're good people to do business with, the Showtime people and Floyd. You never know.
But it's not something you're actively pursuing. It's just something you want.
Activity is what I'm pursuing, right? So I'm just keeping myself in shape, fresh, focused, and everything will happen through that, off of that. Right. So like that, even the Mayweather build-up, 10 weeks, 10 weeks to prepare for that. And before that, I wasn't in the best. I wasn't, you know what I mean? I was out messing around again. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't. You know, I had good solid 10 weeks. Now I'm fully focused. So we'll see what happens.
Do you look at that fight and say, man, I could have been the one. Had I not been doing that, had I not been part, I could have been the one to beat him, the one guy. I squandered that.
I don't squander. It was a great conversation. You have a good inner conversation you have with a man when you have a fight with him. So it's great to fight Floyd. Great to be in there with him. You know what I mean? He's a crafty veteran. He's truly crafty. You don't get 50 pro fight or 50 pro wins and an extensive amateur career. You know what I mean? So it was a great experience. And you know, I look forward to doing it again. If not, it will happen. It's going to happen again.
You think so?
Yeah, it will.
Mystic Mac.
It's happening again. But also, I would be open to other boxing bouts. You know, I know the Manny has been. We're actually close to signing Manny.
What do you mean?
Oh yeah.
What's that? What are you looking at?
But me and Manny. Well, there's been talks about the Manny fight as well. It's a lot like.
You versus Manny?
There was an offer made on that, yeah.
And what happened?
Just not yet. So.
But it's a possibility.
Very much so.
Greater
and then the Paulie fight. I'd like to box Paulie as well. Why not? That's a bit of buzz as well. Paulie, a boxing bout. I want to box again. I will box again. I'd love I will get a boxing world title. A boxing world title
really?
is.
So then you're probably gonna have to box up multiple times to get that.
No.
Off the bat.
Yeah, but I would box multiple times. I love boxing. I truly love boxing. So, and I'm damn good.
When you say sign Paulie, what do you mean? Sign Manny. What do you mean?
Oh, there's just negotiations going on. You know yourself.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Let's end on this because I've taken up a lot of your time. You know, I remember when you beat Aldo, you told me that I went from nothing to something to everything, right?
Yeah.
What a line that was. Yeah, what a moment that was.
Yeah, I've had some good ones, haven't I?
Yes,
I've had some good quotes.
You have.
They put it on clothes and sell them out quick.
That's right.
But, you know, and Joe Rogan said to me after the Aldo fight, "You've done it all, sir." That's what he said. "You've done it all, sir." So, you know how wrong he was. I mean, I've done so much more than.
That's right.
Yeah. What were we going to say when we offered it back?
So you have everything. And then there was a chance maybe people thought you might lose everything, right? And now here you are, and even sitting in front of you, and I know people aren't going to believe this, you're a different guy. You're different than the one that I spoke to in August. You're even different than the one prior to the Khabib fight. You were a little bit, you know, all over the place, out of control. I remember the interview that you did with the Mac Life, standing right over there. You were looking all over the place. You're so zen right now, I don't even know what to make of this.
Yeah.
What do we make of this? Is this the new chapter? Is this a new Conor? Is this back to the old Conor?
No,
how would you just
I'd
describe?
say it's a new Conor. I just feel reinvigorated, you know, excited. That's it. The illusion of all the other stuff is amazing for excitement. The excitement is building, right? The fans are very excited. The people are very excited to see this bout and to see me competing. I'm very excited to be back and to be gifting this to the people. And
I'd be remiss if I don't ask for a prediction, because that's what you were known for all those years. How do you beat Donald Cerrone?
I stop him with it. I knock him out.
Early?
Possibly, yes.
You've never been a possibly yes kind of guy.
I mean, you know yourself. I'm gonna beat him. I'm ready for it all. So let's see what happens. John estimates a little bit later. I think it could be very early. He's getting knocked out.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Ariel.
Thank you so
Good
much
man.
for the
Thank you,
time,
sir.
Conor.
Appreciate
I appreciate it. All the best to you.
Thank you.
So there you have it. There's my conversation with the notorious one, Conor McGregor, taped this past Friday at the UFC Performance Institute in Las Vegas. First things first, I have to thank him again for the time. I appreciate it. Since the first time we spoke back in 2013, I remember I was in Las Vegas. It was prior to, I do believe, UFC 1. It was the 156. It was Aldo Edgar. And I remember DMing him, asking him to come on the show prior to his UFC debut. And I remember him writing me, I've been waiting for this DM for quite some time. And it's because his fans were hounding me after he won the second Cage Warriors title. They were hounding me to have him on the show. And that following Monday he was on, and New York Rick and I were talking about how at the time it was one of our favorite interviews in the history of the MMA Hour. Ever since then, always responsive, always gracious with his time. He didn't have to do that. I don't think he's doing a lot of one-on-one interviews leading up to this fight. And for him to do that was something that we really appreciated. So thank you very much to him and his team for making that happen. As you can see, my takeaway, and as I said to him at the end, in a zen-like state, he seems happy. He seems at peace. He seems to be in a good place. He seems to be in a good place mentally and physically. He seems to be really happy with the idea of not having to cut weight, not having to go down to 155, on just worrying about the fight itself and not, the extra 15. I was a little bit taken aback by how zen-like he was, how calm he was. And, of course, we talked about a lot of things, and I thought it was really interesting to hear him own up to a lot of things, own up to the fact that he was drinking leading up to the Khabib fight, leaving, disappearing for 3-4 days, not telling anyone where he went. What was he doing? Could explain his performance a little bit, talking about how it got a little personal, maybe a little too personal with the Khabib fight. These are things he had not owned up to in the past, and talking to him about the allegations that have been written about him. When he got really, quiet there at the end, almost seemed like he got a little bit upset that I was harping on it. I thought that was a really interesting moment. The $80 million, we have never heard of a number like that. Never heard of a number like that in our sport. Like I said, I don't think a lot of people combined have heard of like fighters combined to have made 80 million. The best fighters of all time. He said 50 million for Khabib. So he says that's what he walked away with. That's now over and done with. That was October of 2018. But 80 million potentially after pay-per-view, that would be a big deal. That would be a really big deal. And would show that obviously, the UFC still values and understands that he is still a very big draw. I thought it was really interesting to hear him talk about his activity this year and, maybe turning around quickly if this ends quickly. Here's one thing to keep in the back of your mind. March 7th still doesn't have an official main event. Now, they can go with Joanna and Zhang Weili, but it still doesn't have an official main event. Last week, Israel Adesanya was telling us that, he's going to fight on that card, and that's what they're targeting. But what if those talks don't go well? Clearly, there's something up. Clearly, there's a reason why. Is it possible that they try to turn around Conor for March 7th? Maybe against the Gaethje, maybe a quick fight, maybe a Masvidal fight? I wouldn't be shocked. Something to think about this week as the week plays out, and of course, as the fight actually plays out. If it's a quick one, I think that's a really interesting thing to watch come next Monday. Phil Sutcliff being in his corner, I think, is very symbolic, like I said. And what about that line? They say I'm toast, Ariel, but I'm still the bread. I thought that was a great line. A man who's given us a lot of great lines. So in the end, I walked away listening to what his team told me beforehand, digesting it, and then saying, you know what, they may be right. He does seem to be in a much better place. He does seem to be happier. And like I said, that interview with the Mac Life, when he was standing there with Andrew McGahan prior to the Khabib fight, he was all over the place. It was a little bit jarring to watch. Go back and find that interview. Completely different guy a week before this fight. Completely different man. Blinders, internal, family man. It's a really interesting thing. Now, we'll see how it plays out. These are his words. We've been here before with athletes time and again. We'll see what it translates into. But I think that was a really interesting table setter going into this week, seeing what kind of mind frame he's in and seeing what kind of state he's in mentally and physically. So I hope you enjoyed that again. Thank you very much to Conor and his team for the time. I appreciate it. It's not often you get to fly out and go for the day to Vegas, then come back and then do the show and then go to Vegas tomorrow. But hey, this is the life, and I love it. Now, everyone's talking about McGregor Cerrone. Everyone's talking. Everyone has a say. Everyone's weighing in. We got Alvarez's take. We got Cruz's take earlier in the show. But I called upon 15 FOTSs friends of the show, celebrity friends of the show. This is me playing Chael. I'm now going to name drop. I called upon 15 celebrity MMA fans who are also friends of the show, friends of mine, perhaps, maybe, I don't know, to get their pick on this fight. Some fun names, some fun faces. You're going to recognize the majority of these. Here are the celebrities weighing in on Saturday night's main event between Conor McGregor and Donald Cerrone. Enjoy.
I think Conor's going to win, man. You know, I think that this is his redemption story. This is his year to get back into the limelight and to get those big fights that everyone want to see. I want to see him and Masvidal next.
Ariel, what up? It's your man John Feliciano from the Buffalo Bills. Conor Cowboy, that's going to be a great fight. I think Cowboy's going to come out strong. I think he's going to toss around Conor for the first couple rounds. But I think Conor's going to hit him in the third with the counter left. Conor really needs this fight. He's been losing for years. I'm really pulling for Conor so he can get that game bred fight and Masvidal can beat his ass. Cause, you know, that 305 blood running me.
What's up, you guys? Freddie Prinze Jr. here, wearing the Legends mask and picking your McGregor-Cerrone fight. The brain's telling you to go with McGregor. I know the heart's telling you to go with Cerrone. But remember, it takes a lot of heart to step in that cage. And when you're a multimillionaire, you're going to lose some of that heart. And that's why I'm taking the underdog. Donald Cerrone, you heard it here. Mil Mascara, legend. Freddie Prinze Jr., not so much. Peace!
Hey, Ariel. It's Josh Donaldson. You asked me for my Donald Cerrone, Conor McGregor fight predictions. I got Cerrone. McGregor's going to have to prove to me that he can win again.
This is Christian Navarro, and my prediction is what it always is when the man comes to town, Conor McGregor, knockout in the first. It's hard to bet against someone with that much conviction, so I will be watching, and I'm rooting for you, Conor. Go get him.
I'm going to have to go with my countryman, Conor McGregor. I think he's looking sharp, he's looking fluid, he seems to be in a good mental headspace, and it's like John Kavanagh, what a legend, said, a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter. I think you're going to see the same caliber from McGregor as in 2015, and I am predicting a KO late in the second round.
What's up, Ariel? Darren Williams here, giving you my Cowboy versus Conor prediction. I got Cowboy winning the fight via finish in the 4th or 5th round as he survives Conor's attack early, and Conor tends to gas out in the later rounds, so I got him finishing him towards the end of the fight.
What's up, Ariel? It's MCW with the Orlando Magic. January 18th, Cowboy Cerrone versus Conor McGregor. Going to be a great fight, two of my personal favorites. I got Conor winning by knockout in the second. I think he's found his edge again. I think he has a chip on his shoulder from his last loss.
I've been a Cowboy fan since 2010, and I'm a proud American. But I do believe Cowboy's heavy activity in 2019 will work against him, and Conor will be coming in fresh in what seems to be a very good matchup for him. If Cowboy wrestles, I see Conor defending the takedown, and the Irishman countering Cowboy with something that Donald doesn't see coming. I see Conor finishing him in the first round, and a post-fight bonus for the Celtic Tiger. Whatever happens on Saturday, we, the fans, will win.
I think this one's a pretty quick one, like the Gaethje fight. I think it goes to Conor in a somewhat anticlimactic first-round finish.
What is going on? It's Skylar Aston. Here is my prediction for the Cowboy Cerrone-Conor McGregor fight. I see Donald taking McGregor into deep waters, potentially winning by a split decision or maybe even a late submission, round 5 or late round 4. I see Cerrone pulling guard, McGregor overcompensating, raining down punches, and Cerrone catching him in a triangle, as he's done so many times. Not that I'm biased or anything, but let's go Cowboy.
I'm picking McGregor. I think if I had to pick, but like I said, I'm looking forward to a great fight. May the best man win.
Hey, this is Mick Foley, and I'm looking forward to a great fight between Conor McGregor and Cowboy Cerrone. But I think Conor realizes to draw a distinction between being one of the greatest attractions in MMA history, and he might very well be the greatest and one of the greatest fighters in MMA history, then he absolutely has to win this fight, and I think he will. But I look for a great fight with Conor McGregor getting the nod.
What's up, Ariel? My prediction is Conor KOs Cowboy in the first round. I love both fighters, love Cowboy, love his personality. So I'm happy that he's gonna get that red penny night. and that's it. I'm going to be there live, so I'm extremely excited.
Boom. What's up? Ariel, coming to you from Vietnam. A little bit of a storm rolling through. I wanted to do this yesterday, but it is what it is. McGregor versus Donald Cerrone. People didn't like this fight when it was first announced, but I loved it. These are two exciting fighters. Cerrone's been in the game for a while, been doing it for a while. McGregor is not been doing it so long, but he's been doing huge things. He's coming off a loss with Khabib, but I still got him coming back and going on a bit of a tear. I have McGregor in this one, but it's going to be exciting.
How much fun was that? That was amazing. Who cut that, by the way? Was that New York Rick putting Devin Sawa on last? Long-time friend of the show. Little trivia. The only time someone other than me hosted this show was New York Rick, and Devin was on back in 2016 when my wonderful daughter was born. So that was a lot of fun. How about that? It's nice to have friends in high places. In case you weren't watching and just listening, these were the names that appeared. Steve-O, Mick Foley, Michael Carter-Williams, point guard for the Orlando Magic, Action Bronson, former NBA All-Star, Darren Williams, my man Kristaps Porzingis. Wow, what a guy. Skylar Aston, longtime friend of the program, former MMA Beat panelist as well. Mario Lopez, Buffalo Bills star Jonathan Feliciano, Devin Sawa, as I said, Freddie Prinze Jr. with a great one with the mask, Becky Lynch, Dominic Moceanu, Christian Lee Navarro, and the great Josh Donaldson, 2015 AL MVP for your Toronto Blue Jays. Now, thank you very much to all of them. I appreciate them doing this. They're big stars. They didn't have to do that. That was a lot of fun. And I want to remind you as well that if you want to go back and read of the transcript, you want to read about the transcript, read the quotes, read the stories that we have coming out of the Conor interview, you can do so right now over at ESPN.com/MMA. So do check that out. They're doing phenomenal work. We are doing phenomenal work over there. And it's great to be a part of that team as well. So a great day continues to roll along here on the program, and it wouldn't be a Conor fight. It wouldn't be a great day without some SBG representation as well. Later on in the program, we're going to be talking to John Kavanagh. But first, let's say hello for the first time in a very long time. Wow. Finally. You know, I've been asking this man to appear on the program for quite some time, and he's been dodging me left and right like a boxer, bobbing and weaving.
Don't know about that.
There he is. Rowdy Owen Roddy himself. It's like old times again. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thanks, Ariel, and you?
It is a pleasure to have you back on, and it's a very exciting time. It's a very exciting way to start the week, but I have a bone to pick with you, Owen, right off the top. You know, a staple of a Conor fight week is the Owen Roddy vlogs, and I've been searching SBG Charlestown. I've been looking at the YouTube page. Nowhere to be found. Where are they?
Ariel, you know what? At this time around, I just really wanted to focus on what I'm here to do. And, you know, there's a lot of work to go into doing the vlogs and stuff like that. And just this time around, I just wanted to get in, focus on what I'm here to do, which is get Conor to the cage, get him in there, get him ready, and get him to get in and get that knockout. So that's my main focus this time around.
Fair enough. All right, I'll give you a pass for this one. Next one, I know he's going to be active this year. Next one, if it's not there, we're going to have some trouble. All right, I just want to put that out because I enjoy them. It's great insight.
It's insane, man.
Yes, I know because I saw it on your Instagram as well. So let me ask you this. I know he was inactive last year. He didn't fight, and it was somewhat of a tumultuous year for you. Were you in contact with Conor? Were you training with him last year, or did you only really link up again once this camp started?
No, not so much. We weren't in contact as much as we usually had been, but you know, Conor's got he's got so many other businesses and stuff like that he's running. So our camp, we don't work as much as we usually do when we're in camp. So I didn't say as much as him as I usually would, but the same thing. Once we get back working together, we get that flow again, and it's just like history repeating itself. Do you know what I mean?
What kind of physical state was he in when you guys started this camp?
Phenomenal. So there's one thing that he didn't give up at all this time, and he's been very, very consistent, is his strength and conditioning and his nutrition. He's been on point for the past year, and so it's always good when you have an athlete that comes into camp fit and ready, because then you don't spend half the camp trying to get in shape. You can just focus on the task at hand, look at the opponent, look at the threats that they pose, look at the holes in their game, and then execute a good game plan. So Conor's, once we start getting back into the swing of things, you know, it took me a week or two to start getting the pace back up to match him, you know.
Was there ever any talk of the old band not coming back together, or was that a foregone conclusion? Because, he talked about the last camp not going well. Was there ever any fear that you guys wouldn't come back for this fight?
No. I mean, kind of from day one has always kept the same guys around him. I think there's comfort in knowing who you have around you and knowing that they've been with you from day one and that they're there to support you. It's just, for me, it was just, and for all of us, it's just knowing when it's time to go. Like, so once you get the nod, then it's all hands on deck. So everyone's just sitting around waiting for the bat sign to come up in the air and all band together,
Were you in favor of the idea of doing this fight at 170 when it was first brought up? Did you like that idea?
At first, I was a bit unsure. I was like, why does he want to go back up there? But then talking to Conor, and he's like, look, I feel comfortable at this weight. As you said in your interview, he's at the weight. He walks around at that weight. And he's confident at that weight. And then when you go in and see him move around with guys at that weight, and you see how he puts the pace on them, how his power carries up into that weight, then it gives you the confidence,
And as far as this camp compared to the last one, he's talked about it, the last one not being great. John has talked about it. People have weighed in. He even said, somewhat surprising to me in the interview that we just aired, he was drinking leading up to the fight itself disappearing. Can you compare how this camp has gone compared to the last one against Khabib? What are the differences?
Yeah, obviously speaking to you the other day as well, Ariel, it's a confident and a happy Conor. And that's, we didn't see that in the last fight, and there's, even the last couple of fights, there's been tension between our camp and other camps, and Conor, there's been bad blood between his past opponents. There's not, and Conor's in good form. He's happy. He's got everything else in the background. I'm sure all his other businesses and everything else is all flowing perfectly, and now we can focus 100% on what he loves to do, which is fight. When you see Conor in that kind of mind frame, it's great to watch, and it funnels down when Conor's in good form and he's enjoying training and he's switched on. Then we have to match that, so the whole camp, follows suit, and we all kind of fall into that role. And it's been a phenomenal camp. I can't be happier.
That's a really great point, because it's something I noticed after I left on Friday. You mentioned like no animosity and being in a great spot. The Diaz fights and Floyd and with Aldo's like all so tense, right? And when we were waiting for him to arrive on Friday, and I had a chance to talk to a lot of you as you guys were at the gym, and even seeing this DJ that he brings, I noticed everyone is like really happy. Sometimes when you wait for a guest to come, and it's a guest of his stature, and it's a guest where maybe he's ornery or not happy, everyone's walking on eggshells and doesn't want to say. I really walked away with like, these guys are in a really great mood. Like, they are loving life. They got the DJ, they're dancing, they're singing, they're enjoying the training. It really does seem like the whole experience, at least from what I saw on that particular day on Friday, everyone is just in incredibly high spirits. When's the last time you remember it being like this or feeling like this for you guys?
Yeah, it's been a while since it's felt like that in camp. Probably, maybe the Mendes or something like that. Where
that one was tumultuous too, though, right? Because of the knee.
Yeah, but I mean prior to the knee, but like in the lead up, and he was just in good form, and everybody was enjoying it, and he was switched on, and he was on that climb, and he could see what was ahead of him, and he was buzzing. And as I said, that's what makes all of us buzz. And this time around, it's the same. He's in great form, and he's enjoying his training. And I think, as you say, when you're in good form, everything just flows a little bit better. There's no tension.
I'm curious to get your take on this. One of the interesting storylines going into this fight is him bringing his old boxing coach, Phil Sutcliff, of the legendary Crumlin Boxing Club. And I had an opportunity to meet him, and what a great character he is. But you have always been known as Conor's striking coach. How did you feel about Phil being a part of the team as well, in the corner too?
Yeah, at first I was like, I didn't know whether I was, like you were saying to Conor, I didn't know whether I was going to be, just pushed out a little bit and focused, but it's been a very, very good mesh. Phil has so much experience. Like, when you're talking to a guy that has 50 years experience in boxing, I mean, where can you get that wealth of knowledge? MMA is not even around that many years, so there is nobody in the MMA field that has that kind of wealth of knowledge. And I'd be talking to Phil a lot, and I'm learning a lot myself from him. You know, if you can't pick up some techniques and some ideas from a man that has 50 years of knowledge, you're doing something wrong. So yeah, it's been great, and I'm enjoying it. You know, we're all working well together, and you can see that now with Conor. He's sitting down on his shots when he needs to. He's evasive when he needs to be evasive. He's using his other weapons when the opportunities are there, and it's been phenomenal. And I think you're going to see that on Fight Night, most definitely.
I saw an interview that you did with Oscar Willis over at the Mac Life. He's been doing a great job as well, and I noticed that you said to him that everyone has holes, and it's part of your job to find the holes in your opponent's game. Donald Cerrone's a veteran. There's a lot of footage on this man out there. Tell us, what are the holes that you see in Donald's game?
Well, I'm not going to get into too much detail, Ariel, about where we're going to look to capitalise. But you know, he is a bit rigid, you know, but he's crafty as well. He's crafty. You just have to be switched on with Cerrone, and not play to his strengths, and let Conor, you know, get into his flow. I just think, like I said this before, I just think if Conor gets into his flow, he just poses too many threats to Cerrone. Cerrone has a few tricks himself, and you know, he's very crafty, and he's a veteran, and he's really, really good. But you know, if we stay switched on, he shouldn't get near Conor.
Wanted to get your opinion on something that was said earlier in the show. Both Eddie Alvarez and Dominick Cruz suggested that Cerrone do this. They said that it would be wise for him to have essentially a full 5-minute sparring match in the locker room, so that essentially he's starting the first round like it's his second round, so that, you know, typically he's a slow starter, get warmed up, get the cobwebs out, don't get all nervous, and actually like let it out in the locker room so that you're really fresh and sweating and all that stuff once the fight actually starts. What did you make of that piece of advice? What do you think of that? Is that something that could actually help?
I don't know. I don't think so, to be totally honest. Reason being, like, there's a 5-minute round, 5-minute spar, and then it takes, as you say, 20 minutes to get out to the cage, and you're cold again, and you just have to have a spar. And I don't really think, people say he comes out, he starts slow. I don't think he starts slow. I just think it takes him a little bit longer to get the read of people. You know, you watch him in a couple of his last fights, he comes out of the gates quick, and he moves fast, and he fires fast, but for him to get into his flow takes a couple of rounds. For Conor to get into his flow, it takes milliseconds. Do you know what I mean? He needs one or two looks, and he's got the read of you, and I think that's where the difference will be. But Cerrone doesn't come out slow, I don't think, you know.
Were there any limitations? Because I know he broke his left hand early in the camp. Was it taking some time for it to get well, or was it good as far as the camp started? Was it 100%?
Conor is 100%. No nothing, no knocks, no bangs, no nothing. Perfect, great mindset, in good form. Yeah, it's okay. It's been pretty flawless, man. We really can't complain.
Now, I see that you're wearing a very interesting T-shirt over there. I want to ask you about this, the Nuka MMA. This is, when you told me about this on Friday, I was like, what? Owen Roddy's starting an amateur MMA program here in the United States? This is very interesting. And then I looked up the Instagram page and the Twitter page. Tell us about this, because the amateur MMA scene here in the United States has been virtually, non-existent. What is this all about? Tell us all about this.
Yeah, so myself and two business partners, one based out of Florida, set up Nuka MMA, which is the National College Association for Mixed Martial Arts. So it will be a college-based amateur MMA organization that will run events nationwide and give students in colleges the opportunity to compete in amateur mixed martial arts. I think it's going to be a huge boost for amateur mixed martial arts and mixed martial arts in general, giving these students a huge platform to compete and then move on in their mixed martial arts career or in their studies or whatever they want to do in the future.
Now, what sparked this idea? Why do this? Why get involved in this?
Sorry, Ariel. Well, I spoke to my two business partners, and it was bound to happen eventually, Ariel. you see college sports in the States is huge, and they're introducing new sports every year. So, and MMA has grown. I felt there was a need for it, and we took it on board 3 years ago, and we've been working on it ever since.
And how many events?
We're announcing that.
Go ahead.
Sorry?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so our first event now will be in February in UCF, Florida. We've got a good few colleges on board, and we're excited, man.
What date exactly?
February 28th.
So when you say a few colleges, like are these student athletes going to be coming from different colleges, all competing on this particular card?
Yeah, so we've got huge, we've got a good few colleges. We've got Ohio University, Western Illinois, Michigan, UCF obviously. So yeah, we've got lots of colleges signed up. We've got about 5 or 6 colleges competing on our first showcase event. Which is going to just be a showcase, which is going to give everybody a taste of what we're looking to do with NUCA MMA over the coming years. Yeah, so it's a very exciting time, and I'm very proud of all the work that the guys have done over here in Florida, and I'm excited to see where this takes us.
How many events are you slated to do in 2020? Do you know yet?
We're hoping to do maybe 3 showcase events, and then we're going to go into a full season in 2021, which will consist of regional championships, and then regionals going on to the national championships to be crowned the national NUCA amateur MMA champions, and then we've college championships, and then individual championships for students as well. So, I think it's going to be a great twist on MMA or amateur MMA, having the colleges get behind their athletes, and college sports. Like I've had the privilege of coming over and seeing some stuff. I visited UCF there a while ago, and the scale of the colleges over here, and the attitude students have towards their teammates and the colleges, it's amazing. So I just think it's going to be insane once we get rolling.
And will you just do this in the United States or Canada, other regions?
Yeah. Well, at the start, we want to just focus on the US.
Okay.
The colleges in the US are the biggest in the world. They've got the biggest fans. You've got people that were in college years ago that still support the colleges, and they're diehard fans. And when we introduce MMA, you're going to get that whole backlog of people supporting their athletes. So we'll start in the US, and who knows where it's going to take us.
All right. And as far as commissions are concerned, do you have to get them on board, or is this a standalone thing because it's amateur?
Yeah. Well, obviously, each state we go into, there will be, we will have to get clearance from a commission.
Okay. All right. Very interesting stuff. Well, I wish you the best. That's February 28th. You said first event, UCF. That's University of Central Florida, of course, in Central Florida. Now, before I let you go, your team famous for predictions. Let's hear it. This Saturday, the return. How does it go down?
Yeah, for me, I give the same prediction every time. I just always see that when Conor lands on people, they crumble, and when he lands clean on Cerrone, it's going to be it's going to be an early night. He's going to land hard. Cerrone's going to start to crumble, and then it's a countdown timer before Conor lands that killer blow and puts him away. It probably take a couple of minutes in the first round, middle to late first round, and then early second round. When Conor lands those shots, you're pretty much done,
Everything from the vibe and the prediction itself feels like the old days too. The confidence that you guys have going into this fight feels like the old days as well. Great to see you on Friday, Coach, and great to have you back on the show. It's been too long, and I'm really excited about this program. Like I said, amateur MMA scene has been non-existent here in the States, so I'm curious to see how this plays out as well. Yes. So we will have you on again, sir, and I wish you guys the best this week, of course, with all the hoopla and the drama that is sure to come. The storm is coming to Las Vegas, so to speak. It's going to be a lot of fun with the Irish coming as well. Good luck this week, and of course, good luck on Saturday. Can't thank you enough, Owen.
Thanks for having me on, Ariel. Bye now. Cheers.
All right, there he is. Owen Roddy, an Irish legend. Later on, we're going to talk to another member of the coaching staff, John Kavanagh, and that is a tradition of ours. We broke the tradition, which we'll talk about with him when he comes on, but we broke it prior to the Khabib fight. It's back on. So in around 15 minutes or so, we're going to be joined by Coach Kavanagh. That's how we'll wrap up today's program. And again, as I said at the top, for those asking, where's Cerrone? Where's his coaching staff? I asked all of them. No hard feelings here. Donald Cerrone, a legend of the game, an absolute Hall of Famer, one of the greatest ever and one of the most beloved ever. No hard feelings. I said my opinion on how he went about trying to get the fight on our little show. He didn't agree with it. Would love to have talked about it with him, talked it out, but alas, he didn't like it and told his team not to come on as well. But no hard feelings. I still love you, Donald, and I wish you the best on Saturday as well. Now, let's go to someone else who's competing in a big spot on Saturday. Her name is Roxanne Modafferi. She is a legend of this game as well. She's at Syndicate, and I have my flag here. Excuse me, I have my fan here, I should say. Roxanne,
Yay.
Here it is, still rocking it after all these years. You signed it for me, and in fact, by my side, because I think we all need this, Roxanne, I have your book, How to Be Positive, Mental Training by Roxanne Modafferi, The Happy Warrior. So I just want to let you know I have not forgotten about you, Roxanne. How are you doing?
You. I'm doing fantastic. Here at Syndicate, just trained a little bit. I'm really ready for this fight.
Okay, so this is a big one. Prior to getting this opportunity against Macy Barber, a rising star, everyone thinks she's going to be a champion. Did you know a lot about her? Was she on your radar?
I've seen her fight. She's pretty awesome. I've been watching her fight a little bit, and yeah, I knew she was coming up in the ranks.
Are you impressed by her?
Yeah, I'm impressed by her. She really gets the job done.
Is it possible to say she's overhyped? Do you think she's overhyped, or do you think she's getting the right amount of hype? Do you think she's worthy of all those hype she's getting?
I think she's worthy of it. She TKO'd her last however many 5 opponents. She's strong, she's tough, she's funky, so it's going to be a great fight.
When you say funky, what do you mean by that?
Spunky.
Yeah, what do you mean by funky? How funky?
Spunky, like S-P-U-N-K-Y.
Spunky, okay. Okay, what do you mean by that? How can you be a spunky fighter?
I don't know. She's gone. She's like, yeah, I'm going to TKO everybody. I don't know. It's cool.
Okay.
I like it.
I guess I was thinking funky because her mentor, of course, is Funky Ben Askren. So I wanted to know if her style was funky as well. Now, of course, everyone's talking about this message that you sent her and her reply to the message. Can you tell us the story for those that didn't see it? What did you send her? What was this DM that you sent her? What was it about?
So I met her. I ran into her at the UFC Performance Institute, and we were just chatting. Hey, I'm looking forward to our fight. Yeah, cool. We're cool. We somehow weight cutting came on up in the conversation, and we both like cutting weight in the bathtub, to sweat it out. And I know that sometimes the UFC books rooms that don't have bathtubs. So me being the excellent planner that I am, I decided to call the hotel and ask, hey, do our rooms have bathtubs? And they said no. So I thought, gee, it would be great, if we both made weight successfully and healthily. So I should let her know so she can make other plans. So I messaged her on Instagram. I don't know if she follows me, so I took a chance and let her know, hey, make other plans, whatever. And then she apparently posted that, which is fine. But yeah, just trying to be nice and have us both make weight, because make weight. But she's always made it a flyweight, so that's good.
Now, here's my follow-up question. Did she, even though she posted it, did she actually reply privately as well?
She did not.
Oh, come on, Macy. She didn't even say like, hey, thanks, nothing like that?
No.
Man, do you feel like it was a bit of a, I don't know, not a nice move on her part to do that?
Well, I kind of was still a little worried that she didn't see it, because, when you see a message that says red,
yeah,
and she didn't actually accept my message, and I had messaged her before like, hey, come train or whatever, and she didn't read it either. So I would have liked some acknowledgement that it was seen, but whatever.
When you saw the tweet that she put out, we just showed it on the screen, and her reply, public reply, what did you make of that?
Man, by all means, hype the fight. Let's go.
Okay.
Even though I'm highly ranked, I don't always get the hype, and she has the hype. I would love to benefit from that hype. So bring it on. Let's go.
All right.
Come on.
So no hard feel. Do you regret sending her this message, helping her out?
No, not at all. Hopefully she'll listen, because the hotels don't have bathtubs, so she needs to get herself a bathtub. So let's do this. I fully expect an awesome, weigh in. Oh yeah, you tune in for my weigh-ins. I got some stuff planned.
Oh, what do you got?
A good fight. Just my normal entertaining ones.
Yeah. Are they letting you dress up, do your thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I love that. I love the fact that your kindness has now become like a promotional tool for this fight.
I hope so.
It is a great thing. And of course, you've been burned in the past by people missing weight, so I can understand why you would want to, look out for your opponent here. When you actually think about the way she fights, do you see holes in her game? Just yet, you have so many more fights in her. You've been around this game for so much longer. She's still so young, under 25, all that stuff. Wants to be the youngest champion ever. Do you see holes in her game at this point? Are you catching her at the right time?
I certainly hope so. My head coach John Wood came up with a good game plan. I'm going to try to take advantage of some of the things that I see. I will try. I shall.
Yes. Do you feel like you're being put in that spot of, the veteran being fed to the young lion, being used as a stepping stone? This is a scenario that's old as time in this fight game. Do you feel like you're being put in that spot?
Absolutely, but bring it on. I will prove that I belong in the top 10.
Okay, so you don't mind being put in that spot?
Get fights. I'm in the UFC. I'm getting stronger and stronger. I'm getting better and better. Saiyan always gets stronger after their fights, especially their losses.
Yes.
So they're gonna see a bit better, stronger Roxy. They're surprised. Everyone shall be surprised.
And we're showing
Except my team, they're not surprised.
Right, of course. We're showing that you pointed out recently that you too can finish some fights as well. So it's not just Macy.
I have as many finishes as she does, by the way.
Yes, but you also have what? This is like your if my math is correct, your 40th pro fight, right?
My 45th fight, because they don't count the Ultimate Fighter ones, but I count the Ultimate Fighter ones that I fought. So technically, for me, it's 40. This will be my 45th.
Wow. Did you ever think that you would make it to 45 fights when you started?
No, definitely not.
I mean, you probably. What did you think initially? 10, something like that?
So when I first started fighting, everybody retired at like 34. Like everyone declined and was a wreck and broken by 34. So I figured I'd retire by 33 or 34. But now I feel great, man. Like I feel better now at my age than I did when I was 25. So,
wow.
I mean, I'm just getting stronger and better.
Do you think it was the move to Las Vegas that really extended your career? Had you not done that, you maybe would have been done by now?
Absolutely. 100%. It was the physical therapy in America, my massage therapist, Terry Wallace, strength conditioner, Lorenzo. He got me stronger. Absolutely. Glad I moved back. I miss Japan, but, I'm glad I moved.
And speaking of Japan, I understand a very special guest is going to be in attendance. For those that followed your career for so many years, we know that you spent a lot of time in Japan. That's where you really honed your craft and became famous. But I understand a very special guest. Can you tell us about that?
Are you referring to my trainer from Japan?
Yes. Unless there's another special guest. How did I know? I don't know. I got a nose for these things.
That's a good one. Oh, yeah. Hiyuma Kunioku is going to fly in from Japan, my former trainer. And he's going to be in attendance. I'm really excited. He cornered me and coached me for like 4 years in Japan. So I'm excited to introduce him. I think my mind's going to explode when I introduce him to my new gym and my new trainers.
And
So
is this
I'm
the
excited.
first time you see him since you're in the UFC?
No, I've met up with him like every time I visit Japan, have dinner or lunch or whatever.
Okay. Has he ever been to one of your UFC fights?
No.
Wow. Why this one?
I think because it's in Vegas, and I think he always wanted to come to Vegas.
Okay, fair enough. Is he going to be in your corner or just actually just watching it as a fan?
No, I'm giving him comp tickets.
Okay, very nice. Very nice. And by the way, just curious, because I did see you at the PI on Friday. What has it been like with Conor there? And it's kind of interesting to see the fighters interacting with him. Has it been a bit of a different scene with like his whole crew being there? You're in Vegas, so you probably go there a lot. Has it been kind of different seeing, Conor McGregor, the megastar there just amongst all the fighters? What has it been like?
Kind of. I think I peered around the corner once and he was lifting weights. I know our team didn't use the upstairs one day because they were filming him, but I mean, it's cool. I try not to, I don't know, I fangirl over some people, but try to give him space.
Yeah.
I didn't actually meet him.
Okay, you didn't say hi, you didn't cross paths.
No.
Okay.
Johnny Walker's there. I'm a fangirl over him.
Really? You're a big Johnny
He's so
Walker
tall.
fan? He is tall.
I'm a huge Johnny Walker fan. My head comes up to like his pectoral muscle, not even his shoulder. It's crazy how tall he is.
He is a large man. I saw him there as well. So how do you see this playing out on Saturday? How do you envision it?
And you never know. Anyone can win a fight at any given time, but I really hope to showcase some of my striking from my new tools. I'm confident on the ground. If it goes to the ground, I'm confident there. So I just hope I do a lot of stuff because that's my main motivation is to try the moves that I learned in training in the fight.
Huge spot for you, Roxanne. It's a great spot for a veteran like you. I'm looking forward to the fight. Great fight between a veteran and up-and-comer. Those are fun fights always. So good luck to you on Saturday. Good luck this week with the weight cutting. Hopefully she makes weight. No drama this time, and we see a great fight on Saturday. Thanks, as always, for coming on, and thank you for the fan that has joined me here at ESPN. I took it all the way from the old job to here. I wouldn't forget it.
Yay, awesome. Thanks so much for having me on. And thanks to all the fans who support me.
Absolutely.
And even if you don't support me, you'll see a good show.
All right. There she is, the one and only Roxanne Modafferi. Pound for pound, one of the nicest people in the history of mixed martial arts. So always great to have her on. And that's a big fight. That's a big opportunity for her. UFC 246 has a nice blend of veterans and up-and-comers like Sadiq Youssef, like I said, and, of course, Macy Barber. But you got guys like Pettis and Roxanne Modafferi, Alexia Oleinik, the Grasso Claudia Gadelha fight is an interesting one as well. So there's something for everyone. But, of course, UFC 246 headlined by Donald Cerrone versus Conor McGregor, the returning Conor McGregor. We've been talking about this fight all show long, and so great to have Coach Owen Roddy on the program. So great to have the perspectives of someone who fought both of them like Eddie Alvarez. So great to have a mind like Dominick Cruz, and so great to have Conor on the show from our sit-down on Friday. But it has been a tradition dating back to, I believe, the Max Holloway fight in Boston, if memory serves me correct. So 2013, August of 2013, we would always have John Kavanagh before, and often because they were winning all the fights, after the victories as well. The Monday before, the Monday after. But the tradition was broken prior to the last fight. It was broken. And, well, we don't have to discuss what happened then, but you know what happened. And so now we get back on track. We win and we learn, and there he is. Back on track. The tradition is back. What did I say to you, John, when I asked you? Here's the big question. A couple weeks ago, I said, the question I want to know the answer to is the tradition back on? What was your response when I asked you that question?
I make mistakes, but I don't repeat them.
Yes, there you go. A great line. So welcome
back. I like you put my record up there as well, 3-3. Jesus Christ.
How do you feel about that? Why did Corporate Jake do that? Why did he have to rub it in? Not very nice. I'm sorry. There's so much that you could. Yeah, seriously, Corporate Jake. What do you have to say for yourself? I mean, really. But great to have you on. And by the way, I don't know what kind of Skype connection you guys have over there, internet connection, but you and Owen, just absolutely flawless. Whoever you're signed up with in Vegas, tremendous stuff. Well done.
Cox. I think
okay.
We're with Cox,
yeah.
Which I find hilarious to say.
Yeah. Well, perhaps
we're both with Cox.
Yes. Okay. Yes. All right. We'll leave it at that. So
leave it at that. Okay.
Yes. So much to discuss, John. I remember talking to you on the Saturday after the Khabib fight. Remember, we were on Long Island for the Bellator show. So much happened in that fight, leading up to it, the aftermath, and you were very honest, brutally honest about how it all went. You know, a couple of months later, if I would have talked to you that the band would be back together, that you would be feeling like this, that he would be feeling like this, that confidence would be like this, would you have believed me that it would all turn out like this in 2020?
I have to be honest and say no. I didn't think it would happen.
Why not? Oh. Right after I talk about the great Skype connection, that's what happens. For God's sakes, why did I say anything?
You jinxed it.
I shouldn't have said anything. I'm sorry. Hey, you don't. I hope that was on the record there. You see, you jinxed it by putting up his record, 3-3. It's actually not bad. I mean, listen, 6 times
it could be
in
worse.
the cage. Yeah, I'll take a 3-3 record. Are we going to reconnect with him? My hunch is someone called him, and sometimes that stalls it. But we started off a little rocky as far as Skype, but we ended really well. And then I had to bring it up. Why did I bring it up? Can't believe I did it. But that was a fascinating answer. We were about to get something, and then it froze. Anyway, we'll reconnect with John. Great to have him on. Great to end the show with him. I'm very excited. Usually I go out to the fights on Thursday morning. This one, Tuesday, because we're going to be doing Ariel the Bad Guy from there. And by the way, I'm doing a radio show at midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific, after the press conference on ESPN Radio. So we'll get oh my gosh, we're going to get to talk about that. Did I jinx myself on that one, John?
Yeah, you don't talk about how great the connection is until the end.
Gosh, what a rookie mistake. You would think after all these years. And you were about to give us a tremendous answer, so let's just go back to that moment because I felt like I totally ruined it. You said you didn't think so. If I would have asked you if it would all turned out like this, and then I asked why. Why wouldn't you have thought so? What did I do? What did I do? How could it have been so great? I feel like Owen Roddy is behind this. What did I do? How could I have done such a thing? This goes against everything I always believe in. I don't like to tell anyone who's on the show beforehand because I feel like I'm jinxing it. I don't even tell my wife. She asked me, who's on the show? Nope, you're not going to find out until I tweet about it. And here I am talking about something as precious as Skype connections. Are you kidding me, Ariel? How could you do this? How can you let everyone down? Anyway, as I was saying, radio show, midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific. Press conference is 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. That's a 1-hour radio show at midnight, which is when the freaks come out. So that's going to be fun. I like that, taking your calls. And then we're doing another radio show, and that will be up on the podcast. We usually do a Wednesday podcast. That will be our Wednesday podcast. And TST will be involved, so maybe we'll get a minimalist pick of the week there. But we will also have another radio show Saturday from 4 to 7 Pacific. 1 to 4. It's very confusing. 1 to 4 Pacific, 4 to 7 Eastern. 1 to 4 Pacific, 4 to 7 Eastern. Yes, that's a 3-hour show, ESPN Radio, in the midst of the conference championships, I might add. How about that? That's the coverage on Saturday. How about that at the top? Yeah, I know, but in the midst of it, I mean, like, there's a lot to talk about. On the Saturday before the Sunday games?
That's a stretch.
Come on. I'm taking this as a nice little feather in my cap. So anyway, UFC Live on ABC, 2 Eastern. ABC, 2 Eastern. I heard some special guests are going to be joining us on that show. Then it's my show at 4 Eastern. And then it's Ariel and the Bad Guy Live on this here, YouTube and Twitter. And then we've got the post-fight show, and then a ton of SportsCenter coverage. It's going to be a crazy week. Okay, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to go into the interview. I'm not even going to talk about the Skype connection. John, are you there?
Briefly, yes.
Okay. Oh, God, Okay, why did you not think this would turn out like it did?
It was like I actually thought after the Eddie fight, I felt it would be hard it'd be hard for him to motivate himself to train like he used to do when he was coming up and winning Cage Warriors and then UFC titles because he had set out some goals and achieved them. So it was what was going to drive him again. Of course, then the Mayweather fight came along and that, obviously that was a historical opportunity. That was motivation in and of itself. But after that, I just felt, well, you have the featherweight and the lightweight belts. You have enough money for your grandkids. So what was it that was going to make you train again? And I found it hard to see a reason. So I'm glad he did find his reason, but I just didn't see it at the time. So I'll be honest, I just kind of start focusing on the next wave of guys. Every coach kind of always has a river of fighters coming through their gym from 16, 17 years of age up until when they're kind of wrapping up their career. And I just thought our particular journey was nearing its end.
Did you think there was a chance that he would never fight again or that he would fight and you just wouldn't be a part of it?
Yeah, I didn't think he would be able, like I said, I know I'm repeating myself, but I didn't think he'd be able to train the way he knows he has to train in order to compete at this elite level. Because kind of training, like I always figured he'd be around the gym. I always figured he'd be there training jiu-jitsu or, kind of for fun. But the actual changing from being to training just for fun to training to compete is very, very different. And it's so hard. It's so difficult. Ask any professional doing it for more than 5 years and you're dealing with injuries and waking up sore and whatnot. And it's just hard to keep that intensity going unless there's a very, very good reason.
when you talked about the Khabib fight and the camp in the days afterwards, it was very interesting. But to hear him talk about it now, like when he told me on Friday that he was drinking leading up to it, he was disappearing for 3-4 days. That's incredible to hear, and I appreciate the honesty. Before a fight of that magnitude, wow, how bad was it? How difficult was it to be the coach and to have a fighter? He was telling us he was fighting. He was all in when he was there, but the problem was he would just leave and like celebrate the stuff that was going on in the gym, and obviously that's not the best way to actually prepare for a fighter of that caliber and a fight of that magnitude. How trying was that for you? How difficult was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, you heard him say it. It was not good, and the whole training camp was driven by revenge and by venom, and even when he came down to do those sparring sessions he was talking about, they weren't spars, they were fights. And it was actually interesting, even for me, to hear him saying that each of them was seen as a bout, as a fight. So it actually kind of makes a tiny bit of logical sense that you celebrate a fight. You don't celebrate a sparring session. A sparring session is just part of training camp. But if you are viewing it as a fight, and if you're going in and running through people, destroying people, it wasn't doing rounds. It was just, it was how, as soon as the fight was over, as soon as he could finish somebody, he was gone. He was out of the gym.
And just wouldn't be in contact with you for days. Has that ever happened before?
No.
Wow. Even during the Diaz buildup, I remember you telling me that you would leave the gym and he would come to the gym, right? Prior to the first one. And the RDA and all that stuff.
We didn't have much communication during that period.
Yeah.
But he was still consistent. He was still showing up.
I remember when I spoke to him in August and I asked him about his relationship with you because it was a bit up in the air, and he said, he saw that you did interviews after the fight and said you didn't watch it. He said, I watched it 50 times on my way from the arena to the house. How could you not do that? And, he just felt like there was no communication, all that stuff. Did you guys ever have a serious sit down before this new journey, this new chapter, and air out all these sort of things that were out there? Because there was a big question whether or not you would be back together.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it is, you say something, and I could speak to you now for 45 minutes and one sentence comes out a certain way and you put that as a headline, and if you're just scrolling on your phone and you just see that headline, and if you don't really see the whole interview, it could be taken out of context, and a meaning, he'll have to prove, what way did or something like, he'll have to show me if I'm going to corner him again. That my meaning behind that was, I thought was obvious, was that I'm obviously very concerned for Conor. He's my fighter, but he's also, I've always said, he's like a kid brother. And I just didn't see the need for him to be doing it anymore if he already had all his goals achieved. I look now and I see this is what this is who he is. He loves it's him at his healthiest, physically and mentally, when he's in training camp and the motivations are healthy. That's him at his best. What else was he going to do? He's not going to go off and take up golf and sit around all day. He's obsessed with this sport, this lifestyle. So it's good for everybody involved. It's good for him to be in the professional element of MMA. It keeps him on a good track.
As someone who has known him for so long, I remember the stories that you told me of trying to go to his house, his mom calling you to try to get him to come back to the gym, to wake him up, to get him out of bed when he was nowhere near the Conor that he is today. And you just refer to him as a kid brother. I mean, you don't often hear coaches refer to fighters like that, but you guys have this incredible bond. And to see, the incident in Miami and the pub, like to see these things happen, you care for this man, to see the mugshots and things like that. What does that do to you to see, he was starting to become, as I asked him, like the stereotype of the fighter who had it all and then is on the verge of losing it all. To see that happen to your kid brother, quote unquote, what does that do to you?
It was heartbreaking. There's no other words for it. It was heartbreaking, and you fear the worst. You fear the worst for people you care about the most, and you fear you're going to become that stereotype. That age-old story of someone getting it all and then losing it all, and it was everybody around were all worried. But that's it's not even last year's news. That's last decade's news. The last few months have been incredible. And I feel, you can say words and people that like us will believe it, and people that don't like us will say it's just words. And I can see where they're coming from, because the proof will be on Saturday night. That's where you're going to see what, as they're calling it, vintage Conor. But I actually think it's new and improved Conor. If Conor was to fight the guy that beat Eddie Alvarez now, this Conor would win smoothly.
Wow.
So it's been pretty incredible these last couple of months, and it's been him, first of all, him deciding, not using willpower or any of that nonsense, just deciding he was going to come back and be a certain way, and then he just started doing it, and it's been going on. I feel actually almost a year. I think I was talking to you a little bit about this. He got started back with Crumlin Boxing Gym almost a year ago now, maybe even longer, and he did that Easter holiday exhibition bout. And since then, it hasn't taken, he had the unfortunate setback with the hand, but he still kept training the legs. That's MMA training is not about avoiding injuries; it's about managing injuries. So he just worked around it, and now it's been clean. It's been healthy since August or so, August or September, and looking at that video footage there, he's just looking amazing. I mean, we're all excited about it.
And like I said to Coach Roddy, the symbolism of having Phil Sutcliff there, Crumlin Boxing, I think is a great one. It's a really nice story for you as the head coach to have him a part of it. What was that like when you first heard that he wanted him to be a part of the camp, part of the corner? What did you think of that?
I was delighted. I told you this the other day, but I actually met Phil because Tom Egan, that was the first guy to represent SBG Ireland in the UFC way back in the day. I believe it was Conor that brought Tom to Crumlin Boxing Gym. So I went along for I think it was a media day. We're doing Tom hitting some pads there or whatever. And so I met Phil, and we were exchanging stories about Conor, the unknown Conor at the time, and just having a bit of a giggle about how he is in the gym. And because obviously he'd been with Phil for about 4 years at that stage, or maybe 5 years. Conor's about 17, 18, and he'd been with Phil for 5 or 6 years. So we're kind of just joking about that. And then I didn't really see him again until recently, 10 years odd later. And he's fascinating to be around. Obviously his understanding and his knowledge of, he's got so many champions in his gym that he's taken from 5 or 6 years of age right through their career, from a novice to an elite, to the Olympics or whatever, to professional fighting. So to be around someone like that, as Owen was saying, obviously you can see we're sitting in the same set here. So I earwigged on Owen's conversation, and I love being around experienced coaches like that to talk to them about strategies and tactics and mindset, and he's just a fountain of knowledge.
And so you talked earlier, just moments ago, about maybe words sometimes getting twisted, or making these words that you say out to be a bigger deal than they are. And I'm wondering about a particular answer you gave to Oscar Willis of the Mac Life recently, which I've seen has been dissected in a million different ways, where you essentially said, we're staying out of the way. He knows more about fighting than all of us combined, the coaching staff. And, the reaction was, how could that be? You're the coaches, he's the fighter, etc. Could you explain what you meant by that statement? Because it's not often we hear something like that.
Yeah, we all kind of have a bet in the house. We try to slip in one sentence that's going to get the most viral reaction, and I'm winning.
Yes.
So far in that bet. No, what I meant was, of course we structured the training program over the last couple of months. But when we're talking to him about the fight breakdown, his MMA fight IQ is incredible. The way he can see tendencies in opponents, and to say, okay, look, I think this is going to happen. Let's make some predictions. Let's look at some fights and see are they correct. They are. Okay, well, look, let's build some of our training around those particular shots and sequences. And his insight, he's a two-weight world champion for a reason. So that's kind of more the point I was making, rather than every Monday morning we get a Monday morning email from Conor saying this is the next 7 days training. That's not really what I meant. But I'm glad some journalists were able to make a few articles out of it and a couple of videos, and I hope they made a few dollars out of it.
A few quid.
I might give them another few few little headlines over the next few days so that they can write a few more of those type of articles.
Perfect. Everyone loves that. And so when the idea of 170 was brought to the table, when he decided on 170, because ultimately it was his call, were you in favor of this?
Yes, I was. Yeah. It has been a while. Well, it's just one less thing to worry about in this fight. And if you look at, Donald as a particular opponent, there's probably going to be around about 10 pounds in the difference on the night. That would be my guess. Maybe a little bit more. Of course, Donald's going to attempt a takedown and to use a grappling game. But it's not like he has a skill set of an Olympic level wrestler or something like that. It's going to be, I think, one in the striking exchanges. And the weight is not as important there. There's not that big a difference. So why have either of them, suffering to try and make a weight and then to go back to being around about 10 pounds in the difference on fight night, regardless?
Historically, Conor's fighting a guy on a long winning streak. He's fighting a champion. He's fighting a legend. He's fighting an Aldo, a Mayweather, Eddie Alvarez champion. This isn't one of those cases. There's no title on the line. He's not a champion. In fact, Cerrone's coming off 2 straight losses in which he was stopped. Does this feel big for you? Like there's no real stakes other than coming back and maybe proving the doubters wrong. Does this feel like a fight that is worthy of a Conor comeback, or did you want him to fight a bigger name?
I'll be probably a few of the questions you're going to ask me, especially when we start getting onto predictions and stuff, will have the same answer. So I'll get it out of the way now to explain.
Okay.
That I realized early on, we focused, I didn't have the vocabulary that I'm going to use now, but it was definitely what we were doing, that we were focusing on systems rather than discrete goals. So if you look at the Aldo fight where he dropped out with a few days notice and Mendes stepped in, if we had been focused very on a discrete goal, a very goal orientated to beat Aldo, that would have been kind of disastrous because it was a new name, a new opponent, a new style, everything was different. And, you know the story of me saying to Conor has changed, and he said they're all the same. And the reason being was that his training was systems orientated. I think later on, and especially for the Mayweather fight, we became very goal orientated. You even heard himself saying his goal was to beat the Philly shell system, and then suddenly he went with a more, I think it's called Mexican style system, and we weren't able to adjust in the contest for that. Whereas in the past, look at the example, beating Mendes on a couple of days' notice, a very, very different style opponent, because we were systems orientated, not goal orientated. So that's what I feel we've returned to. So I don't think it really mattered who was across the cage, because Conor is 100% systems orientated now. You see it in the interviews, you hear it in his words, and the way the training has been. It didn't matter too much who it was. I'd find it amazing how people are talking about Donald Cerrone, as though he's fighting someone that's never won. He's fighting CM Punk or something like that. This is the guy that has so many records in the UFC. It's somewhat as a compliment towards Conor's ability that's the kind of way he's been spoken about, someone that's been so active even in the period of time that Conor's been inactive. But Donald is a phenomenal opponent, great MMA fighter, great all-rounder, has his skill sets. This is a great fight.
It is a great fight, and it's kind of, in my opinion, why I thought it was perfect for his return. It's a good fight to return to. You're not jumping into the deep end, but you're fighting a guy with that kind of resume, with those kinds of records, who is respected, the winningest fighter in UFC.
Even that is funny, isn't it? Like, is he been in the top 5 for the last couple of years?
Cerrone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not the deep end, isn't it? It's kind of funny that's how it's worded.
Sure. I guess it's just because the two losses.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. I just don't think he looked. I was at that fight where he fought Justin, and he didn't look great physically going into that fight. I think at 170 he looks a hell of a lot better. So I think it's going to be a much better fight than if he was down at 155.
170 plus a 5-round fight. Do you have concerns about the cardio?
No, not at all. The training has been unbelievable, and I know people are getting tired of hearing me say it's the best Conor ever, but when he's in this mindset, 5 rounds is not the issue. The system was the issue, and the system is being fixed. And whether that's a 30-second fight or a 25-minute fight, when the system is right, the result will be right.
When you hear him talk about 3 fights, maybe even 4 fights in 2020, what do you think? Possible?
I think it's great. I think it's great. I love him being in this mindset. He's kind of done it. 2019 was almost like a year's training, and now 2020 should be a year competing. So, as long as obviously there's no injuries picked up, why not? Why not rattle out a few? I think it would make sense for. I'll say here you go. Here's something that will get you some.
Okay.
I'm sure people will hate hearing this, but let's say, for example, the next was Justin. Just to pull an example out, fight Justin at 170. I don't really see the point in him going to 155 unless it's for a belt. But him and Justin are about 170-ish. So what's the point in the boat arriving on fight week 170-ish, spending a few days trying to get down weight, weighing in, and then the next day being about 170-ish? So just fight without the hassle of a weight cut.
Is that who you want next?
It's bizarre. It's bizarre that we use that language. Oh, that's his natural weight, 155. No, it's not. No, it's not. 170 is his natural weight. And I'd imagine someone like Justin is not far off 170. Maybe he's 175 or something. That's his natural weight. So just fight at natural weights, unless it's something major like a title. Obviously, a 155-pound belt can't be contested at 170. That would be silly. But besides that, I don't. What is the need? What would be the point? And it would mean he'd be able to compete more often this year, and that's what people want to see. Let's be honest.
Is that your way of saying you want Gaethje next?
No, it was my way of explaining that I don't see the point in cutting weight.
Right.
And to give, maybe someone can get a good article out of that, but it was to give again, a focus on systems rather than specific goals, discrete goals. Fight Justin, fight Masvidal, then fight Khabib. That's discrete goals. Rather than the system is, we're back in the gym next week. We stay healthy. We stay training at a good pace. We keep eating right. We stay around about that 170 weight, so that he could make. Obviously, we've done 170 to 155 in less than 10 days in the past, so he could make that in April if the lightweight belt was offered. But we can rattle out 170-pound fights in the meantime without any stress on the, physiologically, neurologically, the stress of cutting the weight is not part of it.
How much do you expect him to weigh on Friday?
I'll say 169.
Okay, because people were freaking out about him saying to me on Friday, the low 160s. So that would be just a pound under the 170, 171 for a non-title fight, but that's nothing to be all that worried about. Before we'll end on the prediction, but I just want to ask you, because you're so in tune with this. I mean, you're there, you have the gym, you're with the people, the IMAF, all that stuff. Obviously, I read a lot, I listen to a lot, and I hear a lot, and I see people write to me about, what he means to the Irish people, what he doesn't mean to the Irish people, his popularity and whatnot. Do you feel like the Irish people have turned on him, don't support him as much? Do you think this will be a different scene on Saturday? Because it's always been great seeing the turnout for him in Las Vegas.
It is just after Christmas, so I don't know how many people are going to travel out. As for the feelings towards him in Ireland, I don't take people being mean on Twitter all that serious, because I don't really believe Twitter to be real life. My experience of him is when I'm in Dublin and I going to the shops or walking down the street, and it's just, people beeping their horn and waving over, people rushing in for pictures and, wishing us luck on our next fight. And that's where my energy goes, and that's what my focus is, not on a couple of meanies on Twitter.
Fair enough. I'm inclined to say this feels like a new Conor because of the way he was when I saw him on Friday. But again, you've known him long before any of this. Do you recall the last time he was this relaxed, this happy, this zen-like? It was really something to see and to feel that energy. Do you recall the last time he was like that, day in and day out?
No, this is new for me. Even the level of structure in his life now. It's like he's 31 now. He's a man with 2 children, and he's very settled in everything he's doing now, and that means he has full focus on what he wants to do, and what he wants to do is compete in MMA, and it just emanates from him this calmness, this contentment with everything around him, and it's very rewarding and it's very relaxing. And I'm actually I was thinking about coming onto this interview, and I was more nervous coming onto this interview and trying to give good answers than I am about the fight on Saturday.
Wow.
And that's actually honestly true.
My God, I don't know if I should take that as a compliment or not, but that's an incredible statement considering what's happening on Saturday. I appreciate that honesty. Let's end with the prediction. How does it end?
If I may give a quick shout out.
Please.
You know about our warrior training program back home, the W2W.
Yes.
And we have 4 seasons starting at the end of this month. And between the 4 seasons, it's in Cork, Dublin, Tullamore, and Belfast. We had over 500 applicants for it, and that's a little knock-on effect, obviously, to the McGregor effect. But that's kind of what he's doing as well. You know, there's over 500 people wanting to get involved in amateur MMA, and seasons of Wimp to Warrior starting all over the world. And then Owen on talking about him injecting energy into the amateur scene in America. It's kind of incredible what's come out of this little team in Dublin. Like, you know, that Owen, maybe he's the one that's going to offer structure to the entire amateur MMA scene in the US. And then my own little Wimp to Warrior training program that really taken off globally as well. It's kind of cool. So I just want to give a shout out to all the people who are doing the tryouts at the moment. I wish them the very best, and I look forward to training with them as the season progresses.
And by the way, what's the website for Wimp to Warrior?
.com.
All right, easy enough. And it's the number 2.
Wimp2warrior.com. The number 2, wimp2warrior.com. I prefer the term warrior training program, but it's wimp2warrior.com. And there's seasons in TriStar Gym. There's seasons in Gilbert Melendez Gym. It's in all of the top gyms around the world. And it's only grown. I think there's about 50 seasons running annually now worldwide, and it's grown. So jump on there if you're a gym owner or you're interested in the experience of MMA, the transformational effect mentally and physically. Go on, have a read of some of the testimonials and see if it's for you. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. The prediction. The prediction is that the systems is what's going to win this fight. And a cool, calm, collected Conor McGregor with no mistakes. It's going to be a beautiful fight. Like, I love watching back the Eddie Alvarez fight. Almost every time I watch it, I pick up something new. And this is a fight I believe will be studied for a long time as well. And whether that's Conor catching him in a guillotine in the first 2 minutes or knocking him out at the 20th minute, I don't see that as important as the method that the fight goes, the systems used within the fight. So I predict a beautiful destruction.
I like it. We'll leave it at that. That's an interesting take on the prediction, a bit of a unique one, but I like it very much. I have had nostalgic feelings going up and down my body all show long. Now doing this show, it's been a long time that we've had a chance to feel this way about a Conor fight and the buzz that is to come this week. It feels like 2016 and 15 all over again. I know we all kind of long for that. That was a really fun time in the sport from the media perspective, coaching perspective, fighting perspective. It was just a lot of fun to be a part of it. So this has been a really fun day, and it's perfect. And with you, and the tradition is twofold. I just want to say, it's always been twofold. It's always been the Monday before and the Monday after the victory. So I just want to put you on the spot here, and hope that we get to talk. And next week's a big week for you too, with Dylan and Bellator, and the train rolls along. So nice to have you on. Nice to see the whole team. Everyone was so nice and welcoming to me on Friday, and I really appreciate that. And nice to see the addition of a DJ as well. That's a long ways from the barn back in the day in Dublin. Thank you so much, John,
Yes,
and good luck to
indeed.
you guys
Yes,
this
indeed.
week. And of course, good luck on Saturday as well.
Thank you, sir.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. There he is, the one and only, the head coach over at SBG Ireland, the great John Kavanagh, ending as we should on the Monday before a Conor McGregor fight. So here we are. The Monday is over. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you had fun. I hope it brought back some nostalgic feelings as well. Maybe if you're flying to Las Vegas for this fight, maybe if you're one of those people, I hope that you were able to watch this, and maybe perhaps you are a little more excited about what's to come on Saturday. I can tell you I am. I really am. And by the way, we gave you some celebrity predictions, the most important prediction of them all from my mom. Texted it to me. She said, Conor McGregor prediction. So there you go. Take it to the bank. He is the favorite after all. But Mama knows weighing in as well. What a great day. What a great time to be alive. What a way to start the 2020 year as far as the UFC is concerned. Appreciate everyone who watched today's program, and I hope you'll watch our coverage, read our coverage, listen to our coverage all week long, starting tomorrow in Las Vegas. Thank you very much to Dominick Cruz. Get well soon. Thank you very much to Eddie Alvarez. Looking forward to his return as well. Thank you very much, and good luck to Anthony Pettis. Good luck to Conor McGregor on Saturday as well. Thank you very much to him. Thank you to Owen Roddy and Coach John Kavanagh. And of course, good luck to Roxanne Modafferi. If you missed anything, of course, you can check it out on our YouTube page, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, all those places and more. He is back for the first time since October of 2018. Saturday night, UFC 246, only on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Conor McGregor against Donald Cerrone. We'll be back next week to talk about it all. Same time and place. Until then, I say peace. I'm out of here.
You're 31 now. Do you think you'll still be fighting at 40?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. It's probably.
This fight for Cerrone is won or lost in the locker room before he comes out.
Conor's gonna win, man. You know, I think that this is his redemption story.
I got Cerrone.
Going to be a great fight. Two of my personal favorites. I got Conor winning by knockout in the second. I think he's found his edge again. I think he has a chip on his shoulder from his last loss.
I feel like I'm not, I want to say back to who I was, but I'm even better than who I was. You know, everyone says we missed the old Conor, or the 2016 Conor, or the 2015 Conor, or whatever it was.
Conor KOs Cowboy in the first round.
I got Cowboy winning the fight via finish in the 4th or 5th round.
And this is a very, very good matchup to make at 170 pounds. And both these guys are just savages in the sport.
I'm going in there fresh, sharp, fast, light, dangerous, powerful, and full of energy.
I see Conor winning.
I'm gonna have to go with my countryman, Conor McGregor. I think he's looking sharp, he's looking fluid, he seems to be in a good mental headspace.
Conor lands on people, they crumble, and when he lands clean on Cerrone, it's going to be it's gonna be an early night.
McGregor versus Donald Cerrone. People didn't like this fight when it was first announced, but I loved it.
Amazing how people are talking about Donald Cerrone. As though he's fighting CM Punk or something like that. This is the guy that has so many records.
I am champion. I am the champ forever and always, etched in stone.
Coming off a loss with Khabib, but I still got him coming back and going on a bit of a tear. I have McGregor in this one.
If all of us as fans watching get to see a 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, this is all going to get really fun, and we'll be able to see Cowboy Cerrone take over.
I think Conor's able to get it done within 3.
Man, he couldn't have picked a better guy. Cowboy Cerrone, bro, that's a guy that's been around forever. He deserves his shot, and I respect it, man. I'm excited for both guys. I think it's going to be a great fight. How do you beat Donald Cerrone?
I stop him with it. I knock him out.